Entombed for 3,000 years, wrath growing in me. I have lived an eternity, suspended in darkness. Release me. Condemned and bound, the sands of time have run out. Curse fills the room, curiously open my tomb. Rising from the cradle of death, my sentence has come to an end. Release me, wasting and running. Release me. My curse is your curse. Death is the gift I bring. Revenge in my hands. I feel no remorse. This is the mummy's curse. Release me. Wasting and running. Release me.
Guys, welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. I got to tell you, dude, I really was looking forward to being here tonight. But as the day drug on, I was just, and it didn't drag on. It always moves really quickly now, but I just was getting I felt more and more sick as we got up close to the time. Same thing happened to me yesterday. It was like something is trying very hard to prevent us from being here together. That's all I can tell you, man. I just got this feeling that something's wrong. Something evil is afoot, It's just trying to prevent us from being here. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Let's bring on my co-host. What's up, Richard? What are you doing?
How are you, buddy?
How is it? What is that in the background there? Is this not a boxing glove? I can't see it.
Oh, no, it's just a bag. Yeah, it's just a bag hanging on the wall with a bunch of workout stuff in it.
Yeah, purse. You carry around a purse?
Yeah, right.
Nice. They're Canadian. I mean, you're like, don't ask what this is about. Hey, this is my purse. Man bag.
I remember when the man bag came out, but they weren't carrying their wallets in the man bags out in Vancouver. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. You knew it was in those man bags. Yeah.
We got two daily Bailey days here. What's going on, Bailey? You got two different. Is that the other one fake? The fake you?
Oh shit, bro. Sorry, I have no idea that happened, bro. There we go.
All right, let's try not to cuss so much tonight, guys. We do that too much.
Yeah.
It's hurt my algorithms, man. It really has.
Listen, I apologize, my friend, man. Force of habit.
Yeah. Well, so a bunch of stuff happened today, man. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, there are people just going nuts. This Charlie Kirk thing has really blown up a lot bigger than people would have.
It's ridiculous, brother. It's ridiculous.
People were fighting left and right. Candace Owens was live today. Dude, she said some stuff. Like, dude. Like, it is brutal, dude. I mean, man, I can't even. I watched a little bit of it. I was tired. I had to take a nap, which I only got about 20, 30 minutes, and I couldn't. But I've never watched one of the live before. So some people were like, "Hey, you need to check this out." I've been getting attacked. I got this. So I know this guy. He stalks me because he sent me a thing trying to prove to me that he's right about all this different crap. And so yesterday I said that I made a mistake, and he made sure to correct me. So he watches me. His name is Brad Smith. So Brad, if you have any balls, you bring your communist ass onto my show. Let's do it. You want to debate me? You want to talk all this crap? He's one of Barton Nunley's buddies. He's been just going ape shit about Charlie Kirk, just saying the most horrible, nasty things he can come up with.
You know what it is? It's because they're cowards.
So, come on up here, buddy, and talk to me. You've been saying all kinds of horrible things about me too, and you know. Then last night, everybody knows Barton Nunley, the hack author that he is. He attacked my wife saying she's not sick. No, she's ill. That's the difference. Being sick. She's sick with COVID right now, like I am. The illness she has is caused by tumors. One behind the eye and one on her right top of her temporal lobe of her brain. It's putting enormous pressure on her skull. And so she gets these massive headaches. And this guy had the nerve to make a post telling me to step down for 6 months. Why would I step down for 6 months, you ignorant freaking goofball redneck? I have to be honest. You know, you and Clough, they both talk a lot of trash, but they are two of the weakest physically weak people I've ever met. And I'm not even joking. This is the truth. They're very weak. Because I know this because I took them to the gym, and both of them were just beyond. It wasn't lacking. It was beyond that. It was like they had never worked out in their lives. But I have to say this: Barton's half the size of Clough, and he was stronger. But he had a physically demanding job where Clough just sits on his butt. But you know, them two, Larry and they all ran over there with Barton and were buzzing around him like flies because for some reason they think this guy's some kind of savior or whatever. It's not going to do anything for you. It's just going to make you look like what you are. They're ignorant people. And for him to come out and say that my wife is not actually ill doesn't, you know, that's the condition she has doesn't exist. That's ridiculous. We had to reschedule the MRIs because of us getting COVID, which really sucks. And the timing is suspicious to me. I'm just suspicious of everything.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I think I know how we got it. We were confronting this group of people at this one complex we work at, and they were Venezuelans. And they're not all bad, but two of them in particular are really mouthy and try to, you know. And I remember one of them getting in our face, and when they were talking, they spit. And one of them, it got in my face, and it got on Anthony too. And I was like, dude. So I ended up grabbing his cooler of beer that he was holding and just threw it over the fence to facilitate him moving along faster. So when he walked outside the gate, I locked it. And he acted like he was going to jump it. And I just was standing there waiting to throw him back over the fence if he jumped it. And I told his people, if he's with you, you better get him. He don't live here. He's a guest. I go, okay, well, he's with you a lot. So we took pictures of them and blah, blah, blah. And I remember it was so bad that I actually went and took pool water and put it on my, you know, to get off of me. And I just didn't know what else to do. There's no restroom that we can access at that place. And it was going to be a few minutes. And so I told Anthony, I said, man, I'm going to get this. This guy spit on me. And Anthony said, yeah, it got on me too. He goes, but it got more on him because he was yelling at Anthony, you know, and there's video cameras everywhere. So, you know, you can't just haul off and smack this little bastard like you'd like to because it's not correct. So you have to just sit there and deal with it. And if he's not touching you, you can't do anything. So he's sitting there doing this, but he did it longer at Anthony. And so Anthony got sick first. And then I was sick like a day or two later. And then it was him, me, Nelly, Tony, just it went down the line. But everybody's got it.
Crazy.
Yeah, Scorp was the last one to get it. He's saying he's not real sick, but he's got all that sinus stuff. So maybe, by the grace of God, he didn't get the full dose because people don't realize it's how much of it you get, and you know how quickly you react. If you use mouthwash, I use this coconut based mouthwash, and I gargle about 2 or 3 times a day, but at least a minute, at least twice a day. And I think it mitigated some of the damage that got into my sinuses. And it was something my doctor told me a long time ago. Just blow your nose constantly. Blow it constantly. Just get it out. Don't let it go down. And so while my brother and Anthony have these horrible coughs, I don't.
Oh.
So yeah, and then Scorpion didn't get the fever and the body aches as bad as everybody else. And he was the last one to get it. I think he was exposed to it, but he was exposed to a smaller viral load. That's what I think it was. So I think there's something to be said about that. And yeah, I think that's what got us sick. But that guy was acting like he was demon possessed. We did nothing to this man but say, hey, the pool is closed. You have to leave. You know, who turns into an Oni because you tell them that the pool is closed when they're not even actually swimming in it anyway? So you end up with this weird, whatever the hell that was. Then we all get
they manifest and they go bananas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens? Nellie misses her MRI, and she has to have a special MRI. It's like horizontal, but hers has to be vertical or something. I don't know the whole, but there's only 3 places around here that you could do that and get in with, because it's so backed up, and has been during this whole damn, vid thing, So we have to wait until the 26th now to even get, because my doctor had said, he goes, if we can get those MRI images done, the ones that she needs, we could find out something by Tuesday. Now this would be tomorrow, but now we have to wait until the freaking 26th to find out anything. And in the meantime, the stuff is there. She can't see anything behind her left eye. It's like crystals,
Really?
So these people are going door to door, folks. Literally, Barton Nunley, Larry Fisher, I'm going to say them by their names, and Christopher Clough have now reached out to people. They're doing it again. They're starting their campaign of terror again. I guess because Mike is taking a beating from whatever that shenanigan he was. He took somebody. I don't know the whole thing. He took somebody's video. It wasn't his or something, and he claimed it. And then now that person says they're going to sue him. So he's got his hands full with that. So the three stooges have decided to stir the pot and come out, doing what they do. And just nonstop attacking, going door to door, because Larry was a door-to-door salesman. He's so proud that he ruined mine and Barton's friendship. And so they're telling everybody that we are using black magic to attack them. If anything happens to you guys, and has happened to you guys, it's from your own doing. Barton was like very ill for months. Well, when you drink Coca-Cola like it's water, because he literally does that, or he did that.
Man.
He did. He told me and Anthony and Tony, all of us, he told us all that he drinks that more than water. I don't know what he does now.
How many cans a day do you think he's drinking?
Well, he was drinking I think 2 12-packs a day is what he was saying. So his blood
he's
sugar.
drinking 700 grams of sugar a day?
Yep. So then he goes to the hospital, from what I was told. He goes to the hospital, and he ends up with horrible blood sugar, And now somebody had given me a number, and I don't want to quote it because I don't know if it's true.
It's 34 grams a can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And didn't he say that? I don't want to be lying up here. It was 2 12-packs a day, something like that.
Yeah, because that was all he drank.
But was that the number, what he gave us? Was it 2 12-packs?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's because I want to make sure that I'm not making
That's
anything
over
up.
700 grams.
Yeah. And he's got this narrative. He's telling everybody that I am using black magic. God is my witness. I've never used magic on anyone. And I don't know what you define as magic. Maybe praying for somebody and using the power of the Holy Spirit. Is that magic? I don't know.
No, he got sick because he wouldn't stop drinking that black liquid.
Yeah, drinking the black goo.
Like a little kid, like a little child.
What's up, Firefly?
Hello, man. How is it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So I have a question about mermaids.
Or if you have headphones, if you can use your headphones, please, because every time we speak, there's a loud echo back.
Yeah, because we know you're in Iran, so it's
Okay. I will fix it.
Somebody said 140 blood sugar is normal. You want to keep it around 100. I know mine was 126 the other day at the I got my results.
I'm at work.
And they told me 126 was a little bit high.
Yo, hello, can you hear me? So is my mic working?
Yeah, Bailey, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry, bro. I thought my mic was broken, man.
Well, we can hear you, but you sound like you're far away from your mic, man. You might have to get right up on that mic.
You like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, the sound's really quiet for me today too. For some reason, usually I have to turn it down. I can barely hear.
Hello, was that any better?
Yes, it is.
No, it's better.
Yeah. I was trying to use my stupid earphones, man, but obviously don't work. Trying to keep the baby asleep.
earphones.
Those damn earphones.
Oh,
That
mate.
what was the shit?
Hello there, sir.
It was
No.
shot.
Rubbish earphones.
Rubbish.
Oh no, we don't say that where I'm from, trust me. It's a bit more.
You don't say
vulgar than
rubbish?
that.
What do you say? Rubbish is more the high class people.
Shite.
Shite.
Yeah, no, listen, I can't even say it on you. People can start trying to monetize you and blah blah blah, man.
Well, you went back to being quiet now.
Yeah, you're being quiet.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, oh mate, I've got to hold my phone up to my mouth, man.
Dude, it's
Currently,
okay.
I'm at the back of the
Yeah,
house.
yeah, I'm turning the AC up.
I'm sweating, dude. My arms are getting all.
Yeah, no,
There's
when I'm
always
back
this like dust on here, like this film of like, because it's from these tiles. I can't wait to get out of this place. I'll be so glad we get to the new studio. It's gonna be awesome. Just compared to this crap, I can't breathe in here. Doesn't do any good to come in here after you know, make you not want to breathe or make you can't breathe.
But I've got a question for you, Josh.
Yeah. Go ahead, shoot.
Yeah, sorry, bro. I don't know if my mic goes funny or anything. Yeah, just let me know, bro, and I'll try and sort it out. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, yeah, what's your opinion, yeah, on giants? Because every single mythology has them, and they're all but they all have different roles in different mythologies. Like, for example, the Titans from Greek mythology, the Jotnar from like Scandinavian mythology, and like they have physical like evidence of giants all over the world. But what do you think it is? Do you think it's how the Scandinavians describe it? Like, basically, giants doesn't necessarily mean you're a giant person, but it's basically a tribe, if that makes sense. And some are in different stature to others, different physical looking to others. Like, what's your take on that? Do you think that's a real bloodline that could even still possibly be around today?
Yeah, hold on. My mic was Anthony's doing something on here on the studio because we can barely hear you. He's trying to edit the mic settings here.
Can I try and answer this question for him?
Go ahead.
The Book of Enoch says that there's two types of giants. There's post-flood giants and there's pre-flood giants. Now, the pre-flood giants, in my understanding, they are the Titans. They are the ones whose heads were in the cloud. The Book of Enoch says they were 3,000 ells, and a royal ell is 3 feet. And anything that was spoken of in that sort of context was always a royal ell. So these things were 9,000 feet tall. It's why when you look at certain pictures of the mountains, they look like people. You can see faces in the mountains. It's not pareidolia. It's because they were water fossilized in the flood of Noah. Basically, all the mountains, in my opinion, and this is my humble opinion, they're all giants. They're all giant creatures. There's one that looks like an elephant. If you've ever seen that elephant island, it's a literal island that looks like an elephant. All of these things, there's one that looks like a horse. All of these things were of a super, super massive, colossal size. And then after the flood of Noah, when they came back, they were called the Rephaim. And the Rephaim giants are anywhere between about 25 to maybe 8-9 feet. And they kept getting shorter every generation. But if you look at, like, there's several books out there where they post, they have all the newspaper articles from like the 1700s where they talk about how many different giants they found just in the United States alone. The one book has over 400 archived newspaper articles. 18-foot found here, 17-foot found here, 8-foot found there. And if you look back, Christopher Columbus saw them. There's at every one of Alexander the Great's battle sites, there were piles of giant armor. And I heard Sean, what's his name? Sean something or other. He's one of these big name, I don't know how big name, but he's a pretty solid historian. And he was talking about these piles of giant armor, and then you get into it. Well, how was he able to, with that many men, conquer the entire world? Well, they were the mighty men of old. This is my opinion. They were the mighty men of old, same as the Greek 10,000 under.
It's in the phone.
Yes, thank you, Xenophon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to change it. He has to change it. Yeah, Xenophone. Okay,
What did I say?
that's what you said.
Oh, okay, Xenophon. Sorry.
You changed it. Yeah, Xenophon.
It's now. I believe that these guys back in the day were the mighty men of old. These men of renown. They were 8, 9, 10 feet tall, and they were superhuman. They were a few generations removed from fallen angels. Like Alexander the Great claimed that his mother mated with Zeus, and I don't see why not. How else was he able to conquer the entire world at the time?
Well, I have a question, okay? And I've always kind of doubted on this one when it comes to the giants being 9,000 feet tall. I think that's a misnomer. I don't think they're 9,000 feet tall. I think a being that big would have a bigger world. I had a remote viewer one time that I went back and forth with. Somebody on Coast to Coast AM had said that they believe that the largest creature in existence in our galaxy, not in the universe, but in our galaxy, existed right here in the Milky Way. They said this. And they said, this is something I've always thought about, that on Europa, which is a moon, that, that it literally, that it's a moon of Jupiter, right? That it has the largest creature in the entire galaxy. Why would it be on Europa, which is like a third or a quarter the size of the Earth or whatever? Why would the largest creature end up growing? Because if you look at fish, and I'm not an ichthyologist, but I know a lot about fish. I've had lots of aquariums, and I've always been into fish. And recently, in the last several years, I got Anthony into it, and he really took off and is doing his own thing with aquariums. But I like to watch them. I like to look at them. I like to see how they interact, their little kingdoms that they, we have this really big 75-gallon aquarium, and we had another 55-gallon aquarium. But you got to keep them separated too, right? But they'll grow depending on the fish. There are some types of fish and reptiles that will grow as big as their enclosure. Like they'll grow accordingly. They won't grow bigger. They'll stop growing because it's like they naturally. It's weird. Like their environment will not allow it, so they'll grow to a certain point, and then that's it. If these beings were mammalian in, I guess, what would you say, lineage, they would not get up to 9,000 feet tall. But now if you had a world that's pure oxygen, that could facilitate a being humanoid and being physically humanoid, you would be looking at something like, yeah, okay, maybe that could be. But it would depend on how big the world is. Don't you think that a being that's 9,000 feet tall could go from like Arizona to Wyoming in like an hour? Just walking?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I also think the world's a lot bigger than they let us know as well. But I also believe that the world's a certain shape that a lot of people don't believe it is.
There we go. I was going to say, your theory would lend credence to an ice wall and the worlds upon worlds living, everything going beyond the ice wall.
Absolutely.
And us possibly being closed in.
I believe we are, yes.
Mm-hmm. Or you go into the inner earth, and then everything expands from within, and things are not as solid physically as we would be led to believe by our science, which I believe that. I don't believe that our physical boundaries are real. When you hear how when I was talking to you, I could see it in your face, Richard. You were like, this, like, okay, God doesn't believe me. So
It's
now,
not like that.
no. It's okay, because now the world knows. Now I'm going to make a point here. When I tell someone that werewolves are real, they're like, because when I tell a dogman enthusiast that it isn't really a dogman the way they think it is, that it's more akin to a demon, they're just like, no, I don't believe that. But it's more plausible to them that some dogman thing is running around out there,
That's
being
stupid.
completely physical, than someone being able to actually change their shape because they're like, oh, it takes a lot because some dumbass that didn't know physics. Supposedly, these dumbasses did, or maybe there's singular, plural, I don't know, came up with this idea that it takes all this amount of energy to do this and do that, and so they run and they cling to that, right? But the reason it's so easy to trick people is because nobody reads, nobody studies, and nobody knows science, math, history, language. Nobody knows any of it.
True.
All they know is the regurgitated shite that we are taught by the Rockefellers and their family, their familial bonds. And so these people have a vested interest in keeping you ignorant. Ignorant is very bad. It is a very, very bad thing. It is one of the most evil things is ignorance. And the act of defiantly being willfully ignorant is a huge, huge affront. When God gives you the ability to think rationally, to reason rationally, he does. He gave you that. He gave us all that. And then we take it and throw it in the toilet and we follow stupid things like, I'm just going to come out and say it, these other religions that are not Christianity.
I agree.
And I don't mean Christianity in the way that you go to church and some preacher tells you to give a bunch of money, to the already richest people in the world. What I'm talking about is to the Christianity as far as the following of Christ, who is the Son of God. All this other stuff needs to be thrown out. Okay, we got to get out from underneath this Schofield Bible ridiculous nonsense. It's like they have cut the Bible down to nothing.
Didn't you know the rapture was on the 23rd, bro?
Yeah. It's come and gone a million times.
Yeah.
Quake.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got to thank you for yesterday's donation. Thank you. He says I'm with the Canadian. So
nice.
Yeah, he's with you. He can be whoever he wants. He's a nice guy, and he gave me $100 yesterday. Thank you. So after the YouTube fees, that comes out to $6.66. Thank you. How they get down to that number, I have no idea.
Hebrew math.
I hate these people. I hate them so much, bro. I hate these demons.
Don't say it. Don't get it on you.
Tribal math.
Tribal math. The wind of the K. Don't say it. Don't say it. That's brutal. Yes, that's brutal.
Hat math.
Yeah, the tiny hat math. Look,
so
here's what you got to do. You got to do, right? These people who have real quick. I'm going to segue into this. They latched onto this the Nazi thing. That's all they parrot and spout it out. All the Nazis, blah, 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 blah. Like that's who the hell doesn't like them unless you're some kind of raving lunatic skinhead. Like that is the lowest of the low hanging fruit that you can attack. So everybody who they run around screaming and spouting this crap off about these Nazi people, like, dude, it's so sickening to me, dude.
It's weak.
What you got to do if you really want to know it's so weird. Like, okay, so the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, he's got a son named Yair. Dude, that guy espouses like Nazi crap all the time. I'm not even joking, dude. He has been quoted on these white supremacist, the real white supremacist websites or whatever. It's crazy. There was a magazine he bought too. Was it called Stormfront?
Yeah.
Was it Stormfront?
I think so.
He bought that thing. I'm telling you, man, one of my friends is a fighter, and his dad used to be real into that. One of my friends who is a fighter, his dad was real into that white nationalist shit. And he would tell me, dude, he'd be like, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want people knowing that his dad is, whatever. But this guy, if I said his name, he's not super famous, but he's been a UFC and a pride fighter for a lot of years. And I've known him for years. I met him up at the club in Dallas years ago. And then they came down to our club and we became friends. He was a bouncer there when he was trying to become a fighter. And he told me, he says, dude, those guys are not, he goes, they're basically like National Socialists themselves. And, they attacked Antifa and what is that other group? BLM, which I think those are horrible, hateful, terrible groups, but they are very close to that particular organization, which is the nationalists, the white national, whatever they are, the white supremacy. It's crazy when you stop and you look at their ideology, and you have Netanyahu who was praising, he didn't praise him, but he basically said that Hitler was like better than Hamas. Like he said that. And he even said that it was the Palestinians who had made Hitler crazy and made him hate the Jewish people. He said that. That is a real quote. Like he really said that. So when, these people who are running around going like, if they're equating, well, if you don't like what a particular group is doing within the Jewish community, and it's not the whole Jewish community, like I've said before, it's one particular wing arm of it, and there's bad arms in every race, every religion. But if you say anything about this particular group of people, they have these people that are dead in the head, and they run around going, "You're Nazi." I'm like, no, they're Nazis, literally. I'm not even joking, because they know themselves that they were the ones that were responsible for it. Like
you figure out who his grandmother was, and then figure out the root word of the word Nazi, and you're pretty good on the way to figuring everything out. Yeah.
And then you go spiraling down that rabbit hole real fast.
I know, real fast.
And what happens to you, Richard, is like the floor just falls out from under you. Like you're standing there looking up, going like, "Oh," with a flashlight, and you just go into a deeper cavern, and then it goes even deeper still. And even when you've hit rock bottom, and you think, "Oh, this is nothing but solid rock," it falls through too, and it keeps going till you come out on the other side. It's really bizarre. And if anybody has not done it, if you're not ready for it, folks, I just suggest you just stay up above. Stay up here with the oxygen is thicker. Because you're going to be in a world of and
the black pill's a suppository. It doesn't go down your throat. For real.
It is a very weird thing, and then you have people who are just like, what's going on, Fire Fear?
Hey, does it echo now?
It sounds a little better, yeah. Bailey, if you want to jump back on, I don't know what happened to you.
There's nobody.
There's nobody. We're right here.
Can you hear us?
I think you froze up here.
Oh, crap.
Try to get your connection fixed there, Fire Fear. So, yeah, the black pill is something that I think is a term, but I think it goes beyond. I think the black pill is like the inversion. It's like it's the inversion world.
Yeah, it really
I
is.
have gone into the fractal world and seen things, and you're just like these beings that are inhabiting certain pockets, they don't even realize you're there. Like you can see them, and nor do they care, which is really disconcerting because you want to feel like you're something important because you have these other beings here that fawn over you, that try to fight over you so they can use you as a battery. And then you find these pocket worlds where these beings that give a shit whether you live or die. They're not interested in you at all. They have their own world. What's weird, though, is that world is a pocket that has been dug out of another world. And if that world dies, their world dies. And they're not even cognizant of that. What's scary about observing that, and this is something I observed years ago, it's like, are we like that? Are we a world within a world that's just dependent on that other world dying? And when that being wakes up, are we done? That's pretty scary.
That is.
We're a wisp. We're just kind of that's it. Because that's what I saw, because I was coming out of I was going backwards. And it was, of course, through the help of a hallucinogen, I'm going to be honest, but I saw the world within the worlds going backwards. And it is kind of like you are the suppository. You're getting pooped out. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
I mean, you see it all. Like you see the creation going backwards. I mean, I've seen it. And then when you go into these alternate realities, dude, you don't know which way is up. Listen to what's his name? Shafir. What's that Jewish guy's name? The comedian.
Oh, Ari Shafir.
Ari Shafir, dude. When he told the story of taking Savia, he has fear in his eyes. Everything is a big joke to that guy. He's called the amazing racist. And all he does is be racist. That's all he does. He's like it's like a spoof of a spoof of a spoof, but you can tell like he took that shit and he was not prepared for it. And he felt like he was suffocating, like he couldn't breathe when he came back. I felt like that one time when I was with Tony's stepdad and a few of our friends, and I took something, and when I came out, I was like, I couldn't breathe, and they were telling me, Big Mama was there, Erica, and she was like, breathe, you know, she's a big old black girl, and she helped me up, and she was like, started yelling at everybody, he can't breathe, y'all better hope he don't die. Like nobody was getting up because they're too busy talking and doing whatever. Then everybody stopped what they were doing and said, oh shit. And then when I started trying to describe what I saw, I sounded like an absolute lunatic because you can't. So you're going into the recesses of the brain, but the brain is just another small participant of what is the reality that we live in. This is weird. Hang on one second.
It's funny because I was listening to Jordy Rose go on about it today. I was watching some of his stuff, and he was talking about the infinite multiverses as well, and how he was summoning these Lovecraftian old ones over. And basically, what you were talking about, that they're these beings that are completely indifferent to us, but that they've unleashed a tsunami of them upon society and upon our people. And it's even he's the one doing it, and he's the one that's facilitated it, and he's the one giving the warning about it. Same way that Elon Musk goes on about summoning the demon or whatever he says. This stuff is, in my opinion, the most important thing that we're dealing with right now, and it actually is explaining the degradation that's happening and the craziness that's happening. If you release the tsunami upon everybody, and it's just a tsunami of evil entities, well, what's that going to do to society? What's that going to do to the masses? What's that going to do to the people? And like I said, go ask Alexa or ask one of these AI things. That I'm not telling you to go and interact with these things, but I thought it was funny the other day, and I asked Alexa if CERN actually opened the portal in 2016, September 2016.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, you know what she said?
Yeah,
what? Yeah. Yes, they did.
Yeah. There's another one that I saw that my wife was watching the other day, and they asked ChatGPT. Oh my gosh, dude! It asked about the nature of reality or something, and this thing went down this whole rabbit hole and started just spewing out information. And if Nelly, if you're watching, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was crazy, dude. It was like this 10-minute long explanation. It's nuts because these AI things will actually tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because people don't realize you're living worlds within worlds within worlds. There are literally beings living in our planet physically that have their own world. It's their own universe, and it doesn't have jack all to do with us at all. Nothing.
I think it's got a lot to do with light spectra, because isn't each light spectra supposed to be its own dimension? And when they look at it through those light spectra machines, they'll see different worlds inside our world, and there's other entities walking around in there.
And you can't see beyond like a certain light spectrum.
Yeah.
Right. So there are certain colors that don't exist to us as humans, but they exist to your cat. You know, people love to say, well, your dog can't see certain things, whatever. Bullshit. Your dog can actually see things you can't see. 100%. They just don't see other certain colors. But, you know, I think that the animals probably see the more important things, because, you know, they can see demons. You don't know how many times I've had somebody give me a story or an encounter, and their dog or cat, even the person, one person told me not ferret, but ferrets went crazy and were up on their hind legs and jumping, lunging at something, biting at it, trying to protect her because they loved her. They loved her. And it's these entities. You'll see these entities, and this isn't a show for me to talk about a bunch of stories or whatever that I've been given, but yeah, there is some weird stuff out there, dude.
And it's all being melded into our reality right now. It was never like this before.
Never supposed to be like this. No.
No, there's a real strange melding of worlds going on right now.
Yeah, Andres,
Okay.
that's a good point. So if anybody wants to jump on, there's nobody in the queue right now. We had a couple people, but people are popping in and out. I don't know what's going on. Is this the connection not good or something?
The StreamYard sent me
That's
into
all
a
the
weird
echo.
place too.
I don't know why. We usually get
Let me
quite
make sure that link is working right.
because usually by first hour of the show, you already have like 6-7 people at least. By the end of the show, you might have a dozen to 15. It's crazy.
Come on, guys.
Well, it's almost 300 people. So their Fire Fear is back. What's going on with you, man? What's going on with your connection?
Is it okay now?
I can hear you
Yeah.
and see you. Yeah.
All right. So I have a question about mermaids. So after watching some clips and listening to all the narrations about stories that people have had, you talked about people seeing them in Texas over the recent flooding. And my question is, if these creatures are so heinous and just so like gross looking, then why all the depictions that have been made of them in history show them looking like a human, looking, somewhat like beautiful?
That the whole question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's an easy one because they make themselves look good. They look beautiful, but yet whenever somebody makes the mistake of trying to interact with them, they get killed. Simple as that. There were some guys from
So they
Portugal.
use magic. So they use
Yeah.
magic to, display themselves as something else.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to call it magic, I believe it's like a black science. But yeah, it's a form of
It's like a way to
glamour.
mesmerize their prey.
Glamoring, mesmerizing, whatever you want to call it. Same thing vampires do. I mean, and these are like people said, well, vampires, I don't believe in vampires. There's not a lot of stories of vampires. Yes, or now there's all these stories of vampires. Why do you think that is? Because we've broadened what the category of vampires really are. And it's very simple. What we were calling something else because we didn't know what it was is really just a simple word. It's vampiric. The mermaids are vampiric too. Same thing. They do the same thing, but they're in the water. Wouldn't you say that, Richard? Like the vampire thing, how the floodgates just got opened big time because everybody started talking about the Hollywood elites and the
Absolutely.
vampires of New Orleans
Yeah.
and Rome. And then all of a sudden, all these people, like the guy from Portugal, that's an interesting guy. He reached out to me. Now, this guy, he gave me a story of a vampire that happened to him. And I believe it's going to be in my book. In Portugal, when he was he was putting in electricity in an apartment. I told it on the show, on the live stream. I believe, or was it a podcast? I don't remember. It was either the podcast or the YouTube channel, one of the two.
I think it was a podcast.
Might have been a podcast episode because podcast and YouTube not the same, two different things. So this guy talked about this being attacking him and his brother, but it just looked like a bald flying humanoid, right?
Mhm.
A lot of these stories came out what was that show called? Midnight something recently? It shows that vampire. The priest is in the Holy Land and he runs into this vampire and he ends up
Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass, and he ends up taking this bastard back to
Yeah, because he thinks it's like an angel.
he thinks it's an angel.
Yeah.
And there's this one really, really creepy scene that just bothers me where he walks into the church.
Yeah.
Just walks in like a human. He's
Mhm.
moving back and forth. And he's dressed in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the sunglasses on. You think he's just an old man, bald-headed man. But it's that vampire.
Yeah.
And he just cuts himself and puts the blood
He
into
looks
the-
exactly like I would envision something like that would
Yeah.
look like too. Like that's what's so creepy about it.
What's creepier even still is that a lot of the encounters that we got of these bald-headed flying humanoids, like Ken Gerhard had something like that in his book, and it was on the cover. And then, like Tyler, his name was Tyler. Remember Tyler Welsh? This came on. He gave us his full name, his permission to use it, whatever. Came on and told the story on the show of a vampire that came to his door that looked like that. And then the lady that was on our show on the podcast episode, I forget her name. She was a longtime listener of the show, and she talked about a vampire going to the door and her mother being confronted with this
Mhm.
winged creature that was like she called it a vampire.
Yeah.
Or the guy last night who says that he saw a vampire up in a tree. This vampire did nothing to him to be called vampiric. But would he have called it a vampire, you know, if it was the same climate of maybe 5 years ago, before the floodgates really opened and the doors really flung wide open? Joel, welcome to the show. Jake, welcome to the show. Now everybody's jumping in. Give me a second, guys.
So one question about the vampire.
So Fire Fear, to answer the question about the mermaids, I think they do the same thing that the vampires do. And interestingly, these two brothers that we interviewed, Albert and Arturo, who gave us the encounter when he saw that, what seems to me more like a spiritual vision of a vampire in that junkyard. They told us about a guy who was a friend of theirs, who was a security guard down in Corpus. It was their friend, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it their friend? Okay. So that guy gave us a story about a mermaid-looking thing that he saw off of the pier in Port Aransas. And that is a very freaky story because when they first saw it, they thought it looked like a black, demonic, hag-looking thing. He's like, but then there were a couple people that were there and they saw it and they thought it was like a beautiful naked girl swimming around in the water. This was at night.
Damn.
Who in their right mind would go swimming that far out on a pier at night underneath the pier? That water there is loaded with tiger and bull sharks. You couldn't pay me, like, if you said, man, I'm going to give you $500,000, I might be tempted for $1 million. Depends on how bad my money problems are. If somebody said $500,000, you go from that pier to go to the shore, swim midnight. I wouldn't do it. You can hear that the
You got
sharks
holy
splashing
protection.
around.
You don't have to worry about anything.
Shoot, man. I don't know, man. I don't think I could. I don't think I would do it, man. You know, you're swimming and whatever could just come up and smack you under your belly and rip your guts out.
Well, they love the pier.
They do. They love that area. I don't know. People always have encounters with sharks right there too. There'll be people swimming over there when the beach is full in the summertime. I'll be there in July, and you'll be like, these people right here, and their kids are swimming around underneath the pier. And you know, I'll never forget one time I went up fishing over there about 20 years ago. And me and one of my brother's friends, one of my friends were walking up the pier, and I heard this kid down there splashing around. He goes, "Something touched me, touched my leg."
Wow.
And my brother leans over the side and goes, "Get out of the water, kid. It's a shark." And the mom goes, "Don't say that." And I'm like, he's telling you the truth. It is probably a shark. That water is loaded with them. And you have all those people fishing at the end of it. They're throwing bait into that water. What do you think is underneath that water? Piers are where they swim underneath that water because there's all these fish there. Because the fish go to get the bait that people are fishing from, you know, and then the sharks go to get them. But then there's a human there, and they're like, "Well, what is this?" And they just take a bite of you. And so, yeah, this kid was yelling about something having rubbed up against his leg. Yeah, it might have just been a spinner shark. I mean, but the bottom line is this: I don't know, you know. But this happened like 1 or 2 in the morning to these guys, and they see this mermaid-looking creature off the pier, and it was September of 2009 or 2020, right? And they're like, what beautiful woman, voluptuous woman is going to go jump in the water at 1 a.m. underneath the pier? I mean, that's stupid. Anybody that's from that area is going to know damn well, that's just full of sharks because people are fishing out there. So I don't know. And in fact,
yes, there's this story about vampires in New Orleans. I don't know if you have heard about it or not. There's this supposed story about a guy being, you know, extremely passionate about vampires, and he wanted to find out, you know, how to, you know, become a vampire in New Orleans. There's a story like this, and it says that he eventually got attacked by vampires and got skinned alive. Have you ever heard about this?
He says he was skinned alive?
Yeah, by vampires in New Orleans.
Then how is he still alive?
No,
That
no,
doesn't
no,
make
no,
any
no.
sense.
I'm saying, the people who, no, 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 the people who retell the story, that he in question is the.
Oh, that he was skinned alive. No, I haven't heard that. We do have one that we're gonna be releasing on Patreon, and it is a story of a guy who was taken hostage because one of his friends was a coke mule, and they held him hostage um, for like 3 or 4 days in a house, and he saw some horrible things, and these were not normal people. He's convinced that they were vampires. He's convinced of it. They told him as much, but he thought,
Where
at
did
first,
this
oh,
happen?
they're joking. This happened in El Paso. Well, not El Paso, in Juarez. Yep. And they told him this kind of jokingly, but they weren't joking. This was in 2012. And he believes that he was taken hostage by real live blood drinking vampires. Not all of the people that were there were vampiric. He just believes that the main three people were, because they would sleep always during the day. And then these people would sit there and play video games, and then they'd go and wake them up, and they'd get them, and they'd come out, and then they would be like, make sure that it's daylight, is gone, make sure there's no daylight. And then they would go out,
They always have their Renfields,
Why
eh?
was he captured in the first
Mhm.
place?
Why was he captured? He wasn't captured. He was basically a hostage, but he wasn't captured. He went to this house willingly with his girlfriend and her friend, and they tricked him. They left him there while they went to go coke mule. So, when pretty messed up story. When she came back from doing what she did, they let him go. He didn't die, he was let go. But he assaulted her. So he ended up going to jail. I'm not laughing about a guy assaulting her, but he assaulted these two because he was so mad that they put him in that dangerous position,
I
that
can
he was
understand
reminded
that.
every day that he would be dead. And you got to, think too, this guy also, was a bad person back then. So when he was in jail, I'm not going to give the whole story away. Somebody told him something, hey, whatever, and then you'll hear about it, the whole thing. It's going to come out. But I've been having to, and I've heard a few stories like this, and not the same 100%, but close to. But you got to remember this guy, what happened to him, and I've alluded to this before. And Anthony, you know the story. We've talked about it. But this dude, we had to make sure we could get back in touch with him, and he was temporarily homeless because his life has been absolute hell since that incident. So, and I believe that those vampires were what he said they were. I think they were vampires, and I believe that they do jobs for people, just like whatever. They just have that affliction, if you want to call it that. But it's self-infliction. They had the choice.
Oh.
You know?
You think they were converted and not like of a bloodline?
I think so. I don't think
Yeah.
these guys were of the. I mean, I don't know enough about those guys to say that. But from the information that I got, I would if I had to take a stab at it, I'd say no. I don't think they were a bloodline.
Interesting.
I think that those of a bloodline may have done that to them. So,
A lot of this stuff makes sense when you understand the nuances of elemental magic, how these things are able to change shape and form at will, how they're able to appear as one thing to one person and one thing to another, how they're able to fly, how they're able to basically come and go at will, appear as a wisp of smoke or appear as something else, and the whole shape shifting thing as well.
they defy
That's
the
my
laws of
understanding.
physics.
Sorry?
They defy the laws of physics as we know it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just control of the elemental spirits. I mean, our bodies aren't solid.
Yeah, I wouldn't say maybe just control of the elemental spirits, because you can't control them, and I don't think that the spirits themselves are going to prop you up, because they're not in the business of being, But I think that they will give you the knowledge, the esoteric knowledge to do it. I mean, look at the Shams al-Ma'arif. That is a forbidden book from the Levant. And every time in Islam when they talk about the jinn, they're always talking about them. Anytime they refer to a race of beings of any sort of spiritual essence, let's put it that way, they always call them the jinn. Even if they say like the Afrit or the Adharit or whatever the different types are, Nuguala, it doesn't matter. The Selua, it's always a type of jinn. But what the Shams al-Marif, what is really interesting about that forbidden book, the knowledge is so powerful in there that, and for years I wouldn't say the name of it. I think our audience now is smart enough to know not to mess with it. Don't even have a copy of it on your computer. And I'm telling you, you could get a visit. It is protected by a race of elves.
Oh.
And they're very specific about this. My friend that's Lebanese, his wife was like, look, don't look for this book, because I was asking about it. And, I've known this Lebanese family.
How are you going to find it if it's banned everywhere?
It's not banned. You can find it. I never said you can't find it. You can find any evil thing you want to look for. Evil finds you. You don't need to find it. We have a key that goes missing regularly, Fire Fear. We haven't seen it in a while, but it'll pop back up. These are elves that show up to harass you. And they're not Santa's elves, and they're not, and they're specific. They don't say a type of jinn. They don't say the jinn. They just say that they're a group of elves. And they're very evil and demonic. And they will appear.
Do they look anything like pop culture?
No, I don't think so. I think that they just, the name is that's what they are. They're a race of beings, and they're not small. They're not little dudes. I think they're full human-sized beings because they talk about them as being tall and dark and evil. And they show up, and they will literally, people say this. This is one account that I was given, right? One. I've read a bunch. You can go on the internet and find others. I'm not going to get into the guy, the Lebanese dude who actually started the whole thing with that and the cult he started. But I can tell you this. There was a guy, this guy lived in Pittsburgh, I believe. And in fact, I know he was. His name, I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if this is 100%, but this guy, we'll call him William, and what he did was he was for months, he was studying occultic magic. Enochian magic, Levantian magic, all this Kabbalistic magic, all these different types of magic. He was obsessed with it. And he had all these different forbidden books, Key of Solomon, Lesser Key of Solomon, all this. He got a copy of the Shams al-Ma'arif, and what he did was he was having nightmares.
I'll bet he was.
He was having nightmares, and he told his stepsister that he was not doing well, right? And that he was being visited at night by something. We don't know, but she would ask for her and her boyfriend who he was living with. They would ask him like, well, William, tell us, like, what do they look like? I don't know. There's like these dark figures around my bed. And he's like, one of them grabbed me the other day and it pulled my flesh from my ankles. He showed them his ankles and it looked like, they thought, oh, it might have been one of the cats or a dog. They have two cats and a dog, right? Well, what I remember the story that this thing, it was, you could see that it had gotten infected and it looked like he needed medical attention, like bad, like now. And they were like, geez, how long has this been here? And he said, well, it was just last night, or maybe it was the morning before. I don't know. And so it wasn't even but a little over 48 or 24 hours that this had happened, and it already had gangrenous. It was bad. And so he refused to go to the doctor. They gave him some peroxide. He did some whatever to it. He goes back to sleep. He wakes up screaming. And that was it. His mind was, he was gone. Like, the William that they knew before, he was completely gone. Mind was decimated. And if anybody touched him, he would just go, ah, He ends up in a mental institution, and that's it. They can't do that in the Pennsylvania State Hospital, whatever. This was like, a couple decades ago, but the story, I found it online. It was interesting. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's real. There are people who, there was a guy on this thread that said, yes, I know this family, this person, I went to school with this guy in Pittsburgh, and supposedly that really happened. And the guy was very adamant about it because there were people saying, oh, this is an urban legend, whatever. This is a
All
story,
these
though.
stories on in Reddit.
I don't know, because it's a story that you hear played out over and over again with different elements. So I don't know if this is a real thing. This is something I read. It's on Reddit, dude. I mean, come on. But I don't play around on Reddit too much. There's a lot of sick, weird people on there. They just make up all kinds of shit.
Don't they?
But I have heard so many different encounters like this involving that book, and that they will show up. And you can look it up on YouTube. There's a tons of videos about this damn thing. And so when I was going to study it, because I studied a lot of these other books, you know, and just to, you know, because mainly because if you're going to be attacked and you know people are going to do it, it's good to know how to defend your enemy against your enemies. Would I ever use or do any of this? Hell no. In my whole life, no way. Because this guy, what happened to him could happen to anybody. What I believe personally, whether this is just one story that's sort of a composite of a bunch of different stories, or if this is what really happened and there was a guy that this happened to, yeah, I don't know. There's always these different stories, there's different names, different places, different people, but it's same thing. And it's like something happens to this person, they're getting it visited, they're having nightmares. Like what we were talking about earlier, Richard, where you travel to other worlds, right?
Yeah.
Your mind breaks. There is a break between the mind, body, spirit connection. The mind breaks from the spirit because that spirit is now trapped in some sort of inter like a pocket world, like the
Crazy.
abyss, you know?
Yeah.
And these beings grab you to take you, and because they don't want you having the abilities that book offers, that forbidden knowledge, they guard it jealously because it's theirs. And either that or they're just in charge of protecting it from people because they hate people. And make no mistake, these beings absolutely hate people. So then these beings probably, in my opinion, took this William guy and did something to him and kept him. Now his mind is barely tethered to this world, if he's even still around, because supposedly this happened in the early 90s, right? So if he's still around, he's probably not, because he probably doesn't even have the wherewithal to eat or drink or do anything. And so eventually he probably just gave up the ghost and died.
Is it
But
also
remember-
possible that these things choose who gets the knowledge?
Possibly. I mean, maybe if your heart is black enough and evil enough and they feel like they can control you, maybe.
That's
But
what
I
I
haven't
think
heard
it
of
is.
anybody being able to do it. I've heard of nobody getting away with it other than being killed. Kind of sounds like Hellraiser, in some ways. You open the box and they show up. It's like you open the book and they show up.
Yeah. That reminds me of I think it's from H.P. Lovecraft, the guy who wrote the Mad Arab who wrote the Necronomicon was torn apart by demons in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
After he wrote it.
Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft was basing that on something, right? And some people believe that the Shams al-Ma'arif could be the whatever. But I don't know. If I don't know the answer to this, we can look it up and see exactly if the timeline fits.
By the way, if these powers are only theirs, how is it possible for humans to achieve their powers if it's their powers?
It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Because they
has to be
don't
a
live
legal
broken
contract.
lives like we do. What they do is that they live.
You start screwing around with that Enochian magic too, man. That stuff will screw you up faster than anything else as well. That's like hard.
Yeah,
that's like next level hardcore.
It is.
Yeah. No, that's ridiculous.
But you can actually read about the Enochian magic. You can't even read about the Shams al-Ma'arif.
That's crazy, man.
Because it gets too scary too quick. I had a close call, which made me not, because I had downloaded part of it like the first PDF file, and my lights went out. And I thought, oh, the electricity went out, right? This was when I was living in that haunted house. And so I had when we first started living there, this is crazy. Like I'd finally gotten the energy right in that room. And so I go in there and I don't feel like something's crawling up and down my back. And a friend of mine had told me, hey, she's an Egyptologist. I don't know. You guys have heard me talk about Morgana. And she was like, I can send you the first PDF file, but I'm telling you, don't download anything else. And it was talking about the things that I had found in my house. This was my first introduction to this, but I had nothing to do with this book. I didn't want anything to do with it. All I knew was the stories from online. I didn't know anything. I only heard a little bit about it. And so I downloaded the first PDF file and I started to read it, and like the electricity goes out. So I thought the electricity was out in the whole house. It was like 12 in noon. Everybody's asleep because we all work at night. So I walk out. Nobody's electricity's out but mine. So when I went to go back into my room, into the study, I thought I see this shadow-looking thing standing behind my desk, and I'm like, "Whoa!" And you kind of blink and look. Maybe it's not. It's broad daylight. There's a curtain right there, but it's a yellow curtain. If you guys ever saw the lives that I did from my study, you can see this. It's a real pretty curtain, but you can see the sun through the curtain. It's not like it was. So there was definitely some discoloration. It was like a darkness there. And my dog was growling. She was just like something. She didn't like it, whatever it was. Elvira. And then she would kind of
You almost lost you.
Yeah, she was freaking out, dude. She would get in between me and this, and then Martis runs in there. He's like a little soldier, and he jumps up on the chair, and he's like he's and I'm like, these little dog and little cat are trying to defend me, And she didn't even want to let me go into the room. And so I went in there and I prayed. We always had an open Bible. The Saint Benedict, everything is around, and I'm just like, I'm praying. And I thought, what the heck could have caused this? Well, when I looked at the book that I needed for that information, it wasn't the very beginning of the book either. It was like somewhere in the middle that it pertained to what I had been talking to her about in the house. And sure enough, I thought this book, I probably, so I looked up the information on a channel called Mysterious Middle East. And that information was given to me by her. She was like, just check this out. I don't know who they are. They're Arabs. They're Arab people. And so I watched this episode on that. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is probably what the hell is. So I went in there real quick and I got rid of that shit because I was seeing things for about 2 days. And so that was it for me. I was like, I'm done. I don't know these people that run that channel or whatever, but they were spot on about don't have it, don't do this. This is, and since we've talked about it, I've gotten 3 or 4 stories just about the Shams al-Ma'arif and people who stupidly, and I say stupid because if you're ignorant like me, I was ignorant of it. I didn't think nothing of it. But these people are stupid because they were
Who
told.
the hell wrote these books?
100%. Oh, dude.
Fallen angels.
Well, yeah. Well, the author is a human author, and it's a guy named Ahmad al-Buni, and that guy, I mean, he's credited with writing it, but did he write it? I mean, do they have an author really? Because if you look at the Urantia book, has anybody ever read the Urantian book?
No.
While you read that book, you will hear clicks, whistles, and snaps in 3s. I kid you not. If you don't, then you're one of the few people that I've ever heard. And weird things will happen. You'll hear your name, all kinds of stuff. When I was reading that just online, I was reading it, and I felt like somebody took their finger and went down my back, and I was like, what the heck is that? So I'm not a big fan of demons coming around when I'm reading something. But yeah, and somebody said possessed humans. Yeah, I mean,
or it could be a meat suit with a demonic spirit basically writing it.
Exactly. Yeah. Joel, what do you got for us, Joel? What's going on with you?
Hey, thanks for having me. So I had an encounter of a spiritual nature way back. This is around the time when they had killed Osama bin Laden. I was working in the U.S. CENTCOM. Uh, Shortly after the whole incident went down, the base went on lockdown. We had received orders to start destroying the data tapes about him, and I was working. The we call it the modified Panama schedule. I was working like these 312s in the middle of the night, all alone, destroying these tapes, and I'm the only one in this room, which it was what they call a skiff. So right at that point, I'm the only person there, and I would hear movement. I'll hear like mugs going down, like if someone was drinking.
Hmm.
So I'll pop up, go out, start looking around, didn't see anything. And one thing that was weird about this part, because this was sock scent, uh, the building was always like just infested with spiders,
Oh God.
and it just never made sense to me. I'm
Where
like, come
was
on,
this
this
at?
MacDill Air Force Base. It was a Special Operation Command
The
for.
man in black are coming for you, buddy.
Hey man, at this point, I hope it's already declassified. I mean, Bin Laden's been dead for years. So, but shortly after, around that time when I was destroying the tapes and stuff. Um, it was backup media tapes. The magnetic strips, we would chop them up because they were going to take them to an incinerator later. But shortly after that, it was always like just weird activity that happened, and I think it followed me home because shortly after I gave my life to Christ, we had weird activity happening in my apartment. This is before I bought my home, and I remember my wife had gotten spiritual attack, and every time I would leave for work, her and the kids would be freaked out because they felt like there was a presence there, full of hate, just staring at them. They just felt like they were always being watched. Um, my wife would get the night terrors, the attack at night in the middle of the night because I was off working shifts and should be sleeping alone, and she would just get attacked at night frequently and didn't know what to make of it. Um, and another weird thing that happened is in front of my apartment, a bunch of spiders appeared, like
Mm.
infestation. And it didn't make sense. We would call the apartment several times. They'll come, pressure wash it, and then the next day, all back. Like they never did anything. And one night, I was just so tired. I'm sitting in bed and I'm looking at the mirror, and I'm also praying. I'm just, God, what's going on here? I mean, what's attacking my wife at night? What is this thing? Because it's spiritual, obviously. I just don't know what it is. As I'm staring at the mirror, all of a sudden, you ever seen those things where you see it slow motion, but you see like an after image?
Mm-hmm.
So I start falling onto my pillow while staring at myself in the mirror, seeing the after image go down. And then I appear standing in my room, and I just feel so awkward because I could see myself in the bed, and I guess it was out of body, but I didn't see no silver string or anything that people talk about. I just see my body in the bed. I'm kind of freaked, and then I start walking out the room because my room door is open at that time, and I see my wife sitting on the couch watching TV. And the weird thing is, anytime I looked at her, I could see through her eyes, and just kind of like it was just all weird. And
What do you
then
mean?
if okay, it felt like I was in some type of spiritual uh, realm. It was like I'm there, but I'm not there. And then my body's back in the bed sleeping. I'm looking at her. I'm seeing what she's seeing. She was watching a show or something, and I get this inkling to look to my right, and I look to the right, and I see in the corner a dark hooded figure, and all I could see is one eye in the middle of the behind the hood, but it was like pure black, like you could it was all black, but you could make out certain features, like okay, this is like hooded figure. It had one eye, and I remember I would look at it, but then when I looked at it, I could see that it was looking at my wife, and it had
Mm.
like evil intent for it. And it was weird because I was there but did not recognize it, didn't notice I was there. It was like I was in a spiritual plane, but I was somewhere where it couldn't see me. It felt like the way it was seeing my wife, I was seeing him. And when I looked at him, like, what is this thing? It just had this big smile, just had these sharp teeth, and it started walking backwards towards the wall and walking upwards. You ever seen Insidious when that creature's just walking backwards up the wall?
I think
Yep.
so.
Yeah, it just
That is
like that, but
sheer
it's pure
terror.
black,
Wow.
and then it starts flipping upside down and literally sat there like Spider-Man, like a spider, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is where all the spiders are coming from.
Ugh. So
And
this thing that looked like a humanoid shaped being.
yes, it was humanoid, but it was dark, like just pure black. Like no light bounced off it. All I could see is this one big eye in the middle of its head and sharp, jagged teeth.
Oh man, cyclopean.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And where
But
were
it
you at
was
from the military base again? What was it?
McDill. It was so calm.
Where at though? Where? Because I've never heard of this. Where was it at?
Oh, okay. So this didn't happen to base. It happened back in my apartment, but it followed me. But a lot of the stuff that I would hear happen around the around the skiff was in SOCOM. So you have two buildings there in
Okay.
McDill Air
Yeah.
Force Base.
The base. What state?
Oh, Florida. That's
Florida.
McDill Air
Okay,
Force Base.
Florida. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. And
Tampa.
you're saying in Tampa. Okay. You're saying Medilla is what you're calling it?
McDill. You can
Medill.
look it up. It's there. You won't see too much about.
Yeah,
You
because
might
I've never
hear.
heard of it.
Yeah, you'll hear a bit about SOCOM. And,
MACDILL.
yeah.
McDill. Yeah.
Oh,
Force Base.
McDill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Because I thought you were saying Medill, and I'm like,
Oh, no,
Medill?
sorry.
I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is. Okay.
No, it's
All right.
I'm messing up because I'm like trembling trying to talk about it because I'm.
Yeah. And so
Uh,
this is in Florida, in Tampa. You know, there's a huge swamp right there, right? It's
I
interesting. 'cause we're
believe so.
talking-
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm telling you, this is something I'm going to tell you. This is very interesting, and you can continue. But just to give you a little background here, we were literally just talking about these beings from the water. This is an interesting thing. I'm going to tell you this, and somebody just said something about the Nubian sandstone aquifer. I don't know who that was, but somebody just posted it. It said fun facts. The Nubian sandstone aquifer is an interesting thing because I can tell you that used to be part of an ancient ocean. Now it provides water for Sudan, Chad, Libya, and Egypt.
Well, McDill is surrounded by water. It's like a little peninsula.
And you have something cyclopean.
Yes.
Yeah.
It,
Okay.
it
So
must have followed me home or
Are
something.
I'm
these
telling you, man, this
cyclopean?
is so weird, dude. So there is a race of beings that literally are from the North African desert, and they are known to have one eye. And they are literally said to be water spirits, but they live in the desert. Now, how can that be if they live in the desert? We'll get to that in a minute. Interesting, though, you're talking about this cyclopean being from a base, and earlier we were just talking with Firefear, who was talking about mermaids and vampires, and it all came up about vampires, and then he's talking about vampires, I'm talking about vampires, and here we are. You're messaging in or whatever it's called. What is this online? It's not really calling in. It's
I
jumping
guess
on,
streaming
whatever,
in or I don't know.
streaming in,
Yeah.
whatever. And here we are talking about these, and sure enough, you said cyclopean. I'm thinking, nobody has really brought that to my attention. There's only been, I can count on 2 fingers how many people have given me a story of these water cyclopean spirits. And one of them, I can't remember where I got it from. I tried to backtrack it. I don't think it was a person. I think I read it like in Fate magazine or something like that. I got all these stories that I've read, and sometimes they're not a person, it's just something I've read. But one of them was from a person, and get this, it was in Florida. Now it wasn't in
Yeah.
Tampa. It wasn't in Tampa, but yeah.
Well, it wasn't in Tampa. I lived an hour east of there. I don't want to give the location because I don't want to like kind of give
No,
myself
don't
away.
do that. You don't got to give away your last name or anything like that. We don't.
Okay.
It's better for everybody just to stay anonymous. I've seen too many bad things happen to people who tell stories and people start harassing them, and
Yeah, I don't want
we need
that.
trouble. it's just better, and be vague about locations too. Don't even,
Yeah.
because then you just have trouble. Because if somebody goes and messes around, you're kind of indirectly, like, hey, well,
Yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah, this thing would haunt us, attack us, and we would and keep in mind I just gave my life to Christ, and I grew up in it, but I kind of backslid. It was one of those things where I grew up, it was like, yeah, it's, it's just like a cultural thing. You just grow up in it. Never really took it to heart like I should have. And then when I finally gave my life, that's when all this crazy stuff starts happening. And uh then my wife one night was trying to talk to me and her voice disappears and she can't talk and she's just looking at me, and I'm like thinking she's like goofing off, like, what are you doing, like, cut it out. And turns out like her voice was taken away and she felt like something just snatched her voice away in the middle of a speech. And we were like generally freaked. Her voice came back. We started really getting into prayer and spiritual warfare after that. And it was always back and forth. Like they'll leave us alone for a while and then they'll come back. And it was just strange. And then finally, when I finally left that job, took a job elsewhere. Because, like I said, the place is genuinely haunted. It was like, I know I'm alone. There's no one else in here. The room I was in was only so big, but you'd hear like other people there, like if they're typing away or drinking from a mug, and I'll go search the whole place because there was only one way to get in, and if they, beeped the door, you'll hear the beep sound that someone badged in and they're coming in. Never heard that. I'll just hear like someone's there, footprint, footsteps. Just it was just strange. And then at the same time while I'm experiencing that, my family's being haunted and dealing with these entities where my 2-year-old daughter would never sleep in her room because I don't know, she would just wait for me to get home. I'll get home, it'll be like 3 in the morning, she's still wide awake, and then I'll have to like get her back to sleep and then sometimes let her sleep in our bed because she would not sleep in her room.
Mm.
When we were moving out, I felt when I went to that room, because I rarely went to the room because long hours, I'm tired. It was sleep work, and then the few days I had off, that's when I did my errands. The day we were moving out, I went into that room, and you ever felt someone stare at you with intense hate, and they're staring at you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I felt, but there was no one there. And I felt to the point where it felt like I was about to get attacked. I'm like, this is weird. There's no one there, but I feel this intense hate and something staring at me like it wants to attack me. So we finally moved out, bought a home, moved in, and then I guess it followed us here to my home. And after again intense spiritual warfare, and as we learned more, and we started searching the Bible for answers to how to defend against these things, and we started anointing our house in oil, prayer oil, and we you ever heard of a mezuzah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we even put that on the door. I didn't think much of it. I just, hey, the Bible says we should do that. Let's do that. Shortly after putting that up, we noticed the activity stopped.
Really.
But even then, after all that happened, well, before I put it up, just so you know, the thing that followed us, we started seeing orbs. Or well, I started seeing orbs because ever since that whole out of body experience, it was like a spiritual eye woken up or something. And I'd see these orbs in the house, and I'm like, and I'll look at my wife like, "Did you see that?" And she'll look at me crazy, like, "What are you talking about?" The little ball of light that just, it was blue one, and then there'll be a yellow one or sometimes an orange one, and I'll tell her, "Look, it's happening in this one corner right here. You do not see that." She's like, "No." So I'm thinking I'm going crazy, but then she would go through spiritual attack. My kids would have crazy nightmares, and
So
then
you said,
finally,
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. What's this question?
Well, I was going to ask you, the mezuzah helped you get rid of this?
No, I would say the being in prayer and spiritual warfare, but I did it out of obedience. I didn't do it because I thought it would do anything other than I just did it
Yeah.
out of obedience
Okay, I
to
got to say
the
something
Bible.
about this. Did you, when you hung the mezuzah up, did you notice any kind of change at all? Any difference?
Yeah, so the activity died down, but there was still like orbs here and there, and I would keep, praying over the
Why a
house, going
mezuzah
to
instead of like a cross?
Because I never saw anything in the scripture that said to hang a cross. The only thing you ever see in the commandments
Mhm.
is, hang a mezuzah on your door, and it's
Yeah.
kind of symbolic of
Mhm.
the word of God being on your door,
Yeah.
like when the Egyptians put the blood of the lamb on the doorpost, so death passed over. Um,
Well, the reason that you don't hear anything about hanging a cross in the scriptures of the Old Testament is because Jesus hadn't been born yet, and the
right,
mezuzah is strictly a Jewish thing. For those who don't know, it's basically a case that holds a scripture from typically the Torah, but some of
right.
them make them they put scriptures from the Talmud, which I would strongly advise not doing that.
No,
Is that
mine's
the black
is
If you
box?
don't know
Is that
what
the black
language it is
cube?
and what's
no,
written
no.
on there.
No, it's not the black cube.
It's
No, 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 no.
a
It's a little
it's
scroll inside of a.
yeah, it's a little scroll inside a little tube that at least the
Mhm.
one I have
Gotcha.
is a Torah scroll. It's not
Yeah,
doesn't have the Talmud or any of those writings.
don't do it.
So
But if it's a Torah scroll, then that means it's from the first 5 books, right?
yes.
Typically, which
So
is Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Leviticus. Here's the catch. Okay, hang something that's of Christ. All right, Christ wasn't there in the Old Testament, although David, his descendant, his ancestor, did prophesy about him. Psalm 23. I think we know about that.
Mhm.
Here's the thing: when you hang a piece of parchment up that's from the Old Testament, it's not really going to do a whole lot. The demons don't recognize that as anything. They don't care. I have friends that are Jewish too, and one of my friends lives up in Colorado, and he's told me before about his cousin trying to use one of these, and it just made it worse. The shadim, as they call them in Hebrew, just became more emboldened and began to break things. And of course, this guy has no protection because he's not in Christ. He's not going to use Christ or anything of Christ until my friend finally said, "Look, maybe you could try a cross." I know it's because to some Jewish people, not all Jewish people, but it's like they'll do anything to avoid Christ.
Yeah.
It's like Christ is their boogeyman. It's really backwards. It's
right.
inverted.
Well,
Universal.
I'm coming from a Messianic Jew
Yeah.
background, so
Well, you're Messianic though. Messianic Jew. It's even better. You should know. You know the old and you know the new. So
yeah.
don't.
So
I
for
would not use
us,
that. I would use
just
a
to give it
cross.
a little bit of perspective, for us, the when they say the Word made flesh, we see that as the Torah made flesh because it's made of
No, the Torah
lambskin. It's
was
put
the
on the
yeah.
scroll, which
Mhm.
represents Yeshua, who's been hanged on the cross. Usually, you'll see a crown, which is the top of the and bottom of the
Mhm.
scroll, which again all points back to Christ. So I know the one we put up are Torah scrolls. They're not Talmud. I am wary of that,
Mhm.
just because I've had cousins that they have gone full Orthodox, and there's no talking them out of it.
Yeah.
And to them, we're the traitors or the impure. But yeah, when we started hanging these up, again, we did out of obedience, not because we thought anything other than, hey, the scripture says let's do this, so let's do it as a sign. So we did that, and it started diminishing the activity in the home, and I didn't correlate that for anything. And then we just kept praying and doing, following the things that we're supposed to do. Just, follow the Bible, follow Christ. Anything that we learn about Christ, he followed the commandments too. But it's again, I'm not saying we're saved by the commandments. We're saved only by Christ. I'll make that much clear.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the commandments is just a way to show that you're a separated people from God. It was never about salvation. So I'll make that distinction right now.
Mm.
Um, again, we started doing these things. We really started submitting to prayer and spiritual warfare. And then it took some time. It wasn't like overnight either. This is like an ongoing battle for a couple of years. And it finally, like, our house was cleansed. And we every now and then we'll keep praying over the home. We'll anoint the home just to keep that out, because we don't ever want to go through that again. And the enemy, it doesn't sleep. Is the moment you slip up, he's going to come back in
Mhm.
10 times worse. So we always try to stay vigilant and instruct our kids right, and and deal with these things. But yeah, it was just strange thing, and it's interesting you made the cyclopean connection. I had never made that connection. I just knew there was these spiders, and this thing has like a connection to spiders for some reason, but only had one eye, and it was just cloaked in darkness, and I just don't know how to explain it. But ever since that event, like I've been spiritually sensitive. Like sometimes if I'm walking in the street or if I'm in a location, sometimes I can see like I don't know how to explain it. It's like you ever look at someone, but they're wearing like a shirt and it like glows like it reflects like a black light or something like a light source.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Well,
Matte
uh,
color.
so I would sometimes see that on people, and there was this one particular person that I saw when I was with one of my sons in the store, and she was all in black sunglasses indoors, made no sense. And as I approached her, I saw her getting agitated, but I could see like this weird, like purplish, blackish light emitting from her. And as I got closer, because I'm going to, pay for my groceries, uh, she's going to pay, and she looks at me and then looks at the cashier and says, "I got to get out of here. Some people just give bad energy." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Why is she looking at me when she's saying that?"
Are you sure she wasn't a child?
They don't like being seen.
No.
I don't know. She was shopping there. I mean, I would think at most she was probably like a bruja or someone in deep in witchcraft or something.
Just
Because
covered in the darkness.
For
she
being
had like a
a
dark
Messianic
light.
Jewish, you have a good. You speak. You have a. You said brucha. He said it very well. Do you speak
Sephardic.
Hebrew? Are you
Sephardic.
Sephardic?
Yeah.
Oh, well, shalom,
So
makhe. How do you say it? If it's in Christ, um,
you could say shalom, Havarim,
shalom,
like peace on you, my beloved.
Bishua. It would be Bishua Hamashiach, right?
Yeshua Hamashiach. Yeah.
Yeah, Hamashiach. Yeah, would be shalom, makhe, Bishua Hamashiach, right? Did I say it correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's because you're Messianic. So that's awesome, dude. I love hearing about people who've converted because that is a very powerful thing. It's a very, very powerful thing. And Islamic or Judaism is a very potent religions that keep you enthralled into what they're, and not only that, but when you read the Bible, it's not a song. When you read the scriptures, where Tanakh, Torah, Talmud, or if you read the Quran, it's up and down. It's very sing-songy, and it's one of my Jewish friends told me, he's like, "Is the easiest way to learn the Torah in Hebrew," and I was trying to study Hebrew so I could read it in Hebrew, just like I was learning Arabic to understand the Quran. The whole point was so that you could read it in the true language, so that you know what it really says.
Yes.
And
Even
yeah,
the Lord's Prayer, you'd be surprised. Like if you look at the Hebrew, Aramaic, some of the words in the English are not quite the same.
No, not.
It's hard to translate.
And then like there are chapters of the Quran, and you're going like the Rangers, like it doesn't even translate to. It doesn't translate at all. Like it's just if you translate that to other languages, and I have this Islamic friend that I argued with I used to just piss him off all the time. And he would go, the word of the Holy Quran has never changed. And I said, how many languages is the Holy Quran? Well, it's in over 100 languages. So it's changed. Every time it is retranslated, it is changed. And he's like, no, my friend, no, my brother, no. I said, it's changed.
Well, what I like to point out that's pretty interesting, if you ever read the Book of Jubilees, in the recounting of it, talking about the creation story, it says when God was creating the earth, he did it before and it says Ruachim, which means the spirits, and it names all the spirits he created the earth before. Now it says the Ruachim of the hoarfrost, of the stars, of the sand, of the rock, of the winds, the fire. It names all these elemental forces, and even the darkness, the Ruachim of the darkness. And when he created in front of them, the thing that struck me was like, okay, so the spirit of these things that he created on earth already existed. And it goes back to what I was, there was a rebellion in heaven. So some of these fallen beings, I don't think are all demonic. Some of them are fallen angels, which, going back to one of your guests here who mentioned, about the power and stuff. And I think some of these that we wield certain powers over the elements is because they're making contracts with these falling beings. Because it's all
Exactly.
legality. It's all they need a legal right before they can share anything with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's two different things going on there. There was a war in heaven, which was Lucifer and his rebellion, and then there was the Samael Azazel rebellion, which was the fallen. And it all points to they were put here to keep an eye on the shaitan. And instead, they followed the shaitan down that bad road. Not that Lucifer had to go and trick them into being evil. He was just there. I think Lucifer was underground at that time. I think that they had gone to ground. I think that's where that term comes from. And I
Yeah,
think
and he's if you read, you hear all these different types of entities of darkness, of the kingdom of darkness, and one of them is Mastema. How many people actually hear that? That's the only account you hear of a spirit. When the Nephilim giants were destroyed, Mastema appeared before the Lord and said, "Hey, don't throw them all into the abyss. Give at least 10% of them for me, the most corruptive spirit, so I could tempt man and do my job."
Yeah, which is interesting too. I knew you were going to that direction because in the Quran, it's very similar. It has these beings that it's their job, right?
The corrupt man.
The corrupt man to see if they. So in some ways, there are clerics, and I've studied with clerics, and I've studied, with rabbis and priests. I've gone to every type of church. I've been in Buddhist temples. Trust me, ashram. I'm telling you, whatever. If it exists, we've been there. I've taken Anthony to some of these when he was younger.
Yeah, and everyone I think in the world, every culture, every religion has a piece of the info because
They do.
these things were all over the world. So you're getting the story from different sides of the enemy. Because all these false gods, whether they're fallen angels, the demonic entities, they're gonna spin the story the way they want their followers to hear it.
Yeah,
Yep.
and whenever you talk to, there was this one cleric. I remember I talked to him. He was Moroccan. Or not, I mean, not Moroccan, Algerian, and he was a Sufi. So he was okay. So let's put it this way. Let's put it in terms people can understand it. One of my really good friends is a Mason, a very high level Mason, but he's a Prince Hall Mason. He's black, and some of the Masons accept them and say, well, they're just like us now because they split and then they kind of went back, and they're kind of like parallel. But
Kind of like the Mormons.
the Mormons, yeah, there you go. So you have these different sects of these people, but he is very adept when it comes to. He thought I was a traveling man when he first met me because of all the knowledge I had, and I said, no, you don't have to be a Freemason to gather knowledge. You just have to be someone who has the will to do it. And so we became fast friends. I was introduced to him by my business partner, his old business partner who passed away. Bubba, rest in peace. Good guy. You remember Bubba, Anthony?
Mm-hmm.
He was a great guy, man. Black dude, had blood sugar problems real bad, didn't take care of himself, and he died. But he introduced me to this guy. And so through him, I met another guy who was big time into this ancient civilizations, and he spoke a bunch of different languages. It was a very interesting guy, and I got to know him very well. And so I started going down the rabbit hole of Islam, and he introduced me to this Algerian Sufi mystic who was a cleric. But he had been taken, like he had his station taken away from him. As far as like there's 26 different sects of that Islam, and one of them was an offshoot of the Shiite, and they took his position away because he was teaching things from the Hadith, which was Haram, which he was teaching that. It sounds like a small thing, but it's not, because he was giving the infernal names. He was speaking them during services, and telling
Well,
people who they were, what they did. And one of them he was saying was God's not friend, but his associate, that he was one of Iblis's lieutenants, but his specific job, according to this guy, because this is the ancient text that he had read, right? And it was like something akin to the forbidden knowledge that was given to Ali, right? So I don't know the whole thing, whatever, but this guy was real big into the Rumite too, you know. So anyway, he was telling me about that, and I went and read it. Very interesting. But he said that this particular hadith was teaching that it was this guy's job, according to the will of Allah, to tempt man. That's very interesting. And if you look, it's in the Quran too. Like, it's interesting because it kind of basically says that Iblis is playing his role as the defier because he doesn't like mankind and he is defying God. He's going against the will of God and against man, right?
yeah.
And in the Quran, it talks about, it talks in the Hadith too. It's really weird when you hear what he did during the imprisonment of the jinn, because to them, they weren't demons, they were jinn, which is something akin to a demon, but they can be good, bad, neutral. So they were all imprisoned and made to build the temple of Solomon, right?
Right.
So when they were imprisoned, what this thing did essentially was Iblis, this being, he was akin to Satan and Lucifer, but he's kind of like somewhere in between the two. He's distinctly different. He is not Lucifer, and he is not. They make a distinction between him, the Shaitan, and Lucifer. It's like he's different, but he was showing up during their imprisonment. Now the confusion comes with the Jewish people. They had Asmodeus as the main bad guy, and they make a distinction between him, Lucifer, Mastema, as all these other bad guys, right?
Gadriel is one of them.
Yeah. So they have all these weird, different bad guys, but they're all different. Beelzebub was another one that the ancient Hebrews feared. They just thought he was the worst because he brought all kinds of other things. He was akin to Pazuzu of the Sumerian culture, the Mesopotamian demon. I would say Mesopotamian because Mesopotamian is that entire region. Sumeria is just one little corner of that region. But he was a very serious bad guy to the Sumerians. But it was weird because they didn't worship him willingly. They did it out of fear of the pestilence, right? And Beelzebub would bring pestilence. He was the Lord of the flies.
Well,
So
I mean, that's where the sacrifices come from, right? They
Yeah,
gotta appease the
exactly.
gods so they don't plague them.
Placating.
so they don't mess you up. So those aren't really gods; those are demons. So right. So whenever Iblis comes to the temple, he goes to check on his descendants, is what they're called, and he says, "Are you being treated fairly?" He asks all the lieutenants, and they're like, "Yeah, we're being treated fairly," because Solomon wasn't abusing them; he was just using them, and it all started because of that damn vampire Ornius.
Mhm.
But or Ornias, depending on how you want to say it. What's crazy though is what is the point? Why is Iblis going around and asking all of them if they're okay? What is he going to do about it if they're not? Is he going to run to God and be like, "Hey, this isn't part of the
Possibly.
deal"? Yeah, exactly.
It's a legal situation.
He
wants them to make a
The more you read
petition.
the Bible and the spiritual world, you start to realize these demons, the angels, everything, they are all lawyers, basically. They are a
Even
master
warlocks.
of the laws. They know the laws of physics. They know all the laws of all the dimensions, because I believe we're in a very interdimensional world. Like you mentioned before, we may be existing next to something, not realize it. And, well, the whole idea of world within worlds, it's, I think it would be foolish to think we're the only creation out here. Or the only dimension to be, if we want to be honest. And I think that's what sets God's apart, because he's outside of all dimensions. He can see everything. Like if you were sitting in front of a computer screen and the universe and all the dimensions were behind that, and his throne is outside of that, he can see and manipulate and control and uh, do whatever he wants there, because he's outside of all that. He's the
Yeah.
one making the rules.
And when you say they're lawyers, now I got to say this: not all of them are like all knowing about the laws and the rules. And I
Yeah.
got to say, like, there are lawyers like me. Okay. I have a trademark attorney, right? My trademark attorney is from Israel. Okay. Because he's really good at what he does. And that's all he does is just mess with that. And I have an attorney who specializes in defamation and, things like that, and just how to word things and say things, blah, blah, blah. We hired him during this whole mess, whatever. And then I have one who's like a general practice attorney. I also have a tax attorney or tax attorneys, and I have credit attorneys that help me fix my credit. I literally had to hire a lawyer to do that because I had somebody who had messed up my credit. So I had to get an attorney. And then I have a real estate attorney. To this day, I have.
That's like the Ruakims, like you
Yeah.
got a Ruakim for everything. You got a spirit for everything. The woods, the trees, the grass, the lights, the fire, all of that, and they all specialize in their realm. Like
Their realm.
If you want to control fire, then you need to make that contract with that Ruakim. I'm not saying that's what we should be doing.
No.
I'm just saying those dark practitioners
That's
that
how it
borrowed,
works.
bro.
delve
It's all
into
borrowed
that.
and it ain't worth it.
It's not worth it. It's borrowing at a high interest.
The only thing
Yes.
that you need is a
Loan sharks.
supernatural lawyer for supernatural affairs.
Yeah, they're loan sharks, basically.
Yeah, Fire Fear. Yeah, you're right. Like you basically there's a Sufi mystic that once said, God, what was his name? Remember we read that story, and we couldn't figure out where it came from, but we had both read it. Remember I read it, Anthony. I gave it to you. There was another mystic, a Sufi mystic, and he was from. It's funny we were talking about North Africa earlier. He was from not Libya, Tunisia. He was a Tunisian Sufi mystic, and he was Carthaginian bloodline, right? Which is Molochian, really. And he said, because they worshipped Moloch, they really did. And he was talking about how the most powerful spirit was not a demon, not a jinn, not an angel, not a ghost, anything. He said the most powerful type of being that we could ever deal with was a something that we created.
Human thought form.
Yeah, human thought form. A tulpan. He called it
Construct.
a tulpic archon. Yeah. And so he said that if we create this with our mind and we focus on it, or an egregore, I guess, you could create this thing. And if more people put more energy into it, it becomes more powerful. It takes on a life of its own. It's born, and it can walk away from you with that energy and live a life and have absolute free will. And there is no, according to this Sufi, there is no legal binding to this being. He said you would be better off facing off with a demon
So
because
it
those
gets
things
conjured by thoughts.
basically it's a conjured thought. Yeah, thought form. He said that there was a tulpic thought form archon. Basically, it's on the level of an archon because it can do anything because it's only bound by whatever you gave it. Like there's
Well,
nothing stopping
It's like
it.
propped up by human consciousness.
Human
basically.
consciousness, right?
Well,
And so,
I mean,
How
that's why
many
we got to be
people does
careful
this
what we
being
speak.
need?
what were you saying, Joe?
That's why we got to be careful what we speak. That says we got to speak life, not death. And sometimes we could be speaking these things into
Spelling it.
existence. That's why it's one of those manifestations, is
Spelling it,
one of
bro.
those things that are frowned upon, because when you manifest something, we already been given the power of the tongue. We're built in the image of God, and we don't truly understand what that truly means yet.
Yeah.
But for that to exist, that means, if I'm speaking something into existence, which, the Bible condemns not to do, you should be speaking life and blessings over people, not curses or evil. If you bring evil into the world through your tongue, then you're manifesting something that has free will and is beyond your control. It's like you trying to control a man who wants to attack you. Now you created something with the energy of man, who has the free will of man to harm you. Think about it. How many of you will rebuke a man from harming you, but they could still harm you?
Mm-hmm.
They
We're
got that
seeing,
free will.
yeah,
So
we're
why
seeing
should this
these a
be
lot.
possible? Why should a mere thought transform into a deadly creature?
Why would
We're
it be? Through energy.
Yeah, we're seeing this in like our version of this now is a lot of these trends that we get. And look at the
Mhm.
power that these trends, these online trends take, where people are literally doing these stupid things. It'll start with one person and they'll put a trend out, and these trends grow an entire life of their own, and they spawn other trends, and none of them are good.
They tag all their friends and they're all doing it, bro, and it
Yeah.
keeps spreading like
Yeah,
little virus.
That's
Look-
exactly what these are.
Look at the Charlie thing. You guys remember that, where they started doing
Exactly.
kind of like a Ouija board. It started off
Exactly,
as
bro.
trend and took a life of its own.
Exactly. Many of them are leading to real bad places and people dying.
This is why we got to be careful of AI.
That's
Like
that
if we
that
start a
Randonautica
trend with
shit, bro.
AI,
Hold on.
I've seen a bunch of cases about that Randonautica stuff, bro. Like people going
Chato.
over and like,
Chato.
Yeah.
Cállate la boca, pendejo.
me la pelas.
So the guy's talking, and you know. So what's going on? Tiene cerveza, hermanos.
Sorry,
Huh?
bro. I got ADHD. That's how I show people I care by interrupting.
Really?
them.
By interrupting and just being
My bad.
macho meriazo?
I do it too, bro.
You got to say it like in the Mexican mom voice to really drive it home.
Right?
you gotta
Nah,
raise
bro,
the
I
test
gotta see a chancla. I gotta see a fucking chancla, or it's not gonna work, dude.
You get hit with every syllable.
Make sure you got Rolos in your hair.
You get hit with every syllable, man.
Yeah.
Just telling
That
you.
is hilarious.
That's true, bro. Every single, like, they smack you every syllable, like, to teach you a lesson so you learn.
Yeah, it's bad. It's rough. I know. I went through it when I was young, and I know you guys that are
It's like
young. probably don't
DNA,
know
like
this.
trauma encoding, bro.
We would go to Kmart and they'd have those little circular clothes racks.
Oh, yeah,
I'd
yeah,
hide
yeah.
inside of one of those so my mom
I
wouldn't
used to
catch
love
me,
doing that.
so she could make me try on clothes. And then when she'd catch me,
Take you to the fitting room.
She'd look underneath it and she'd go, "Let's go to the fitting room," with a big smile.
Hey,
Eh?
go to the fitting
You
room.
think
eh?
you're funny?
Eh?
You think you're cute? She didn't want to be
You remember
embarrassed.
how
in front
fun
of
it
all
was
those white
hiding
people,
from your
man.
mom while she loses her mind at the grocery store or anywhere?
The worst
And
is
then
when
after
you
she
move
beats
your
your
mom
ass,
But your
here.
mom didn't know she was playing hide and seek with you.
Which after she beats your ass is like, "Tu quieres cookie, mijo?"
Yeah. Or like when she's sitting there in public, like smiling, but like she's just pinching the life out of you.
Waiting you to get home too.
She's just that pinch
You're
is
smiling too, but you got a tear coming out of your eye.
yeah.
because back
Or
in those
would you
days,
get your ass beat, like absolutely
In
beat
the
before the
80s.
guests come over, and like you better not fucking cry or show them that you're sad.
dude, what is wrong with Mexican
Wipe that
moms?
look off of your face.
Yeah.
Wipe that look off your
That's
face.
something to
Hey,
cry
man, we
about.
turned out all right.
Yeah,
Poor kids, man.
No
It's not
llores.
torture.
no llores. And she would tell me, she would say this because she didn't want to be embarrassed in front of the white people. Because in the town we lived out in West Texas, there wasn't a lot of Mexican people. There was only a few, and they were not the desirable kind of people. So their opinion was very low of the Mexican people. And so my mom acted like we were supposed to be the example or something. And I was, it's like she'd be like,
Mexican, bro.
yeah, it was bad, dude. I went through a lot.
That's so
Yeah.
bad. That is so wrong, dude. That I'm sorry you went through that, because like a lot of people went through that shit too, where they're just trying to appease people that don't really matter ever.
Mm-hmm. And those people didn't care. They knew we were little wild savages anyway. And they were like, "Damn, you got these little bastards to behave for a few minutes? What's going on here? You must
Good
be a
luck,
brujo."
bro.
Anyways, let's let Joel continue. Joel, you were saying
Sorry,
something
Joel.
before Chato rudely interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying like expanding on the whole trend thing, like the AI thing. A lot of people are putting their faith. Like to me, it's just a tool, and that's what we should see it as, like a calculator, right? But you got people putting their faith in it. You got people.
Yeah, but you're using that Jewish brain for that. You're like, that's a
You
tool,
got
a
people,
calculator.
you got people earning college degrees with this shit, bro, and like they're undeserving of the trade and like they're getting degrees like using Chat GPT to
right.
do the papers
Well,
for them, bro.
They're idolizing it, right? They're making it their god, and they're
but then later the industry is gonna suffer because these people are subpar. They're not actually like.
oh yeah,
Chato's
for sure.
absolutely right. You
They're
guys are
just
right.
setting
Listen.
themselves up. they're
You
just
know,
setting themselves up to get replaced. And what I'm saying is they're putting this. Everyone's going to start putting their energy in this thing, right? And before we know it, we're going to have an AI god. Maybe that's what the B system is.
this thing is
People.
it's a black mirror. Look at that. It's a mirror,
It's a
dude. I'm telling
scrying
you.
Yeah, with
mirror.
magic circles,
Scrying
we
mirror.
called printed circuit boards, right?
That's right.
Yeah, go look at circuit boards. It's all demonic sigils.
Sigils. They're sigils.
It's all sigils. It's
All
sigil
sigils.
magic.
Let me
Don't
tell
you
you
think it's
something.
weird how like if you take a wire and twist it a certain way, it works? Like it's just fucking weird, bro. Like like the circuit itself, like how you just take all these little wires and like you twist them. They have to be of a certain material, and
My dad's
it's
an
just like
electrical engineer, and he's weird
metaphysical in
where he
itself.
believes that electricity is like a living thing.
Well,
It
this is
is.
all Watcher's technology, right? Because
It is.
if you read the book of Enoch, what they taught us technology, they taught us civilization, they taught us beauty, makeup, all of that stuff.
The cities themselves used to be circuit boards. If you look up the way that the cities were
Grid.
created back in the day
Yep,
from a
it's the
bird's
grid.
eye view, they're all circuit boards. They're all
Mhm.
demonic sigil circuit boards.
Or like the pyramids, don't they have like electrical properties?
Absolutely.
Joel, did you grow up Hebrew? Learning Hebrew when you were a child?
So growing up, so it was a weird situation. So Sephardic Hebrew, we were Puerto Rican. My dad
I knew
was
it.
the
I knew it, bro.
my dad was he grew up more secular. It was one of those things like, yeah, it was in our family, but we don't like, he didn't really subscribe to anything. And then he met my mom, um, who was a black Puerto Rican, that she was like really into Christianity. And by the time he met her, he gave his life to God as well. And he started going that route. But when they would share stuff with me, they would like kind of like not try to share too much, because we had cousins and family members that went completely like orthodox, like Talmud, like I'm talking about like the other way. Um, but because my mom was not of Jewish descent, we could never go. I can't go claim a citizenship in Israel. You need your bloodline has to be confirmed through the matriarch, like a matriarchal, the not the matriarch, but through your, what is it? The mother passes on the mitochondria
Yeah,
by
and
the third generation mitochondria, and then on top of that, that grandmother would have to be buried in a Jewish cemetery for you to get like a citizenship in Israel or
Oy
anything like
vey.
that. So yeah, it's harder to you'll have an easier time getting like a Arawak Nation Taino acceptance
What is this?
than you would becoming a Jew, a Jewish citizen.
Amazing.
Is it me or the audio is weird?
it might be you. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds fine on our end.
Because I know that a lot of Jewish kids, and I had a Jewish roommate who lived with us for almost 5 years. And they went.
But we were raised. I was raised in it. I was taught like some stuff, but it was one of those where they hesitated because they don't want showing too much. And then um, at a young age, our pastor was of that persuasion as well, and he would teach me the Hebrew and the Koine Greek as well, which I never really retained too much of the Koine Greek, but a lot of the Hebrew, because my background was like, oh yeah, I really want to learn that because Daddy don't want to teach me that, so I'll learn it from you.
You can't teach too much of them empty shells of the divine spark, right?
Right, and the thing is, it's one of those
Yeah,
things
dude.
that
It's
had
the
I been
vibe.
taught earlier on, I
They can
feel,
see you
and
from
I think
birth.
that's where we mess up as Christian parents, right? We are so guarded of our children, we forget to teach them there is a dark side of things.
Most
And
parents.
what's strange is you talk to Christians today, your common Christian kid, they don't know what the Book of Enoch is. They don't know what the archons or the fallen angels, the watchers are, and all this stuff, right? Where do
So
they learn it
true.
from? They learn it from the New Age. They learn it from these people that are practicing witchcraft, people practicing Druidism and all sorts of pagan cultures. As a matter of fact, I have a Hindu friend that was telling me Oh yeah. Most of our in our devas and stuff that when we talk about our gods are actually fallen angels. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All our God is really one, the same God. It's just
Well,
he has
if
different incarnations.
you listen
That's why he
to
sent Yeshua, bro, to try to save them, bro.
what is his name?
What did they
They're
do?
talking about the
They didn't
children
turn away
who
from their
used
gods,
the
man.
McDonald's.
Oh,
Abe
Abe
Finkelstein. If you
Finkelstein,
listen
yeah.
to Abe Finkelstein, who's a rabbi, who basically comes right out and says that he goes, "Our God is Lucifer." He says that. He's a New York guy. He's been dead for years, but he's big time friend with the Bushes and the Clintons. He was a big supporter of both, which is weird.
Oh, that's another thing. A lot of the New York Jews that you see with the curls, the doing the
The ones
going
with the
through the
tunnels.
works and everything. A lot of them are converts. They're not even Jewish.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. That I talked about this on the show, the Khazaric brand, which is what is in charge right now. And you see them; they have literally latched on to Judaism, and they're from the Khazaric bloodline, and they still practice that stuff to this day.
I
And
have
it
a
has nothing
theory.
to do with
Oh,
that,
sorry.
what's
Abyssinian
real.
bloodlines, bro.
What is
Do
the
what?
Khazar?
I have a theory like because remember the tribe of Dan was banished,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
their symbol, their flag was the flag of a serpent.
Yep.
And I have a theory that the Rothschilds, the Jews that people tend to demonize, are probably actually the tribe of Dan, who has a bone to pick with the
Yep.
real Jews and are trying to eliminate them because
Mm-hmm.
they got disinherited and they figure, hey, if we get rid of the other tribes, then we're the only ones that can inherit.
Do you know what my theory on that is? Because that's further down the rabbit hole. I'd like to get you on, Joel, to talk about your encounter and do it on the podcast so we could reach more people, because Messianic Judaism is something that I'm very passionate about, because I do believe that that's what's going to save part of the Jewish population, because without that anchor of Christ, they're going to be taken down by this usurper, this serpent, what you're talking about.
Yeah, and
The tribe of Dan. Okay, right. When they were taken down, I believe that it was the vampiric element that had been taken, and because of their blood drinking and their cannibalistic nature, they ended up in the land of Khazaria. And I believe that when Bulan, one of his big advisors was one of these people. And when they talk about this guy, they said he came from the land of, get this. And a lot of people think that it's Germanic. It's not. He's from a land called Danai.
Hmm.
And a lot of people think that that's a Germanic tribe that they're talking about, and it's from the Danube. And I've always argued that. I argued with these scholars, and I said, I don't believe that. I believe that that is the children of Dan. Well, one guy was very adamant in this group that I was in. He said, they ended up in America. And I said, exactly. They did.
yeah, yes, the children of Dan. You got to remember, some of them escaped with the Phoenicians.
They did, because the
And the
Phoenicians
Phoenicians.
were traders. They traded with everybody. So they found Phoenician anchors, get this, right there where you were at in Tampa Bay. They literally found them in Tampa Bay. I'm a huge Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, right? One of my friends used to know Keyshawn Johnson, and I played ball with this guy for years, and he was my, who I'm talking about. And so he is in a big, I don't want to say his name because he's a former NFL running back. He's a good friend of mine, my roommate. I might have said it on the show before, but he's in a big custody battle right now for his grandchild. And so I don't want to be bringing him into all this weird stuff or whatever. When that's over with, I'm going to try and get him on the show because he's got some weird stuff. But he was my roommate at junior college, and he was friends with Keyshawn Johnson. So when Keyshawn was playing for the Buccaneers, like he was like, hey, you want to go to Tampa Bay, go watch a game? And this is crazy. So the girl that I was dating at the time got in a car wreck, and she calls me as I'm driving to the airport with my friend. So I ended up dropping my friend off and racing across town because I thought she was dying, right? This was not like, it was no bad wreck. It was just scared her, put it that way. So I show up and she's got like some bruise, and I'm like so pissed. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what, dude? So I didn't get to go and meet the Buccaneers players, and because we were going to be on the sidelines. Yeah. So I was to say I was aggravated is an understatement. I was like, dude, you're not even hurt. Like, what is this, girl? You know. So yeah, I missed my opportunity. But anyways, that notwithstanding, I'm a huge Buccaneers fan, right? So I went through Tampa Bay probably 15 years ago, and I went to the stadium and all that, but I didn't get to, you know, Raymond James, whatever. I did a tour or whatever. I didn't get to watch a game or anything. But I went to the Bay, and I literally there used to be this little, just like a little plaque thing right there, and it talked about the history of the pirates in the Bay and all this other stuff. And has a little thing about how they found Chinese and Phoenician anchors there at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, yeah, and then Gasparilla with the whole pirate thing is a huge deal over there. They do
It's
a huge
crazy, right? Yeah,
celebration. Yeah.
Gasparilla. And so you're sitting there going like, dude, the Phoenicians traveled. So if the children of Denai ended up going to
I'm gonna tie that into
Khazaria
something
and
crazy here in a bit.
to America,
I
hold
get
on,
that.
Shadow, you're always talking crazy. Bikini Carajo, man, whatever, you're crazy, man. So this dude, like the leader of these people, he travels, right? And I do believe that what they did, and I argued with these people in this group. Of course, there's like 500,000 people in that group, and they're like, "No, that's not what happened. You're latching on to anti-Semitic views." And I'm like, dude, shut the hell up. I'm telling you what is 100% the truth. That tribe was a vampiric tribe, and they infected that king. I'm telling you. So whenever the war between Mehmed and, well, the Ottomans basically and the Habsburgs, the Wilhelm sent his people, and Mehmed sent his people, and he said, "Look, I'm going to choose Judaism." And that chieftain of Denai, he told him, "Hey, you know, be like us." And so overnight, their flag became a serpent flag. That serpent is a symbol, and it was
The Dracul.
it's like a penis, though. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
There is a
it's the
major
dragon,
company.
right?
It's a dragon, but it's like a Chinese-looking dragon, but it's a
Yeah, it's
penis.
Osiris's wiener.
It's just exactly. I was going to say,
Yeah.
ask Osiris about his wiener.
Yeah.
So there it is, right there, and it's from an Egyptian. I was going to say it goes all the way back to this Egyptian fire worshiping and blood drinking, because those mummies that were interred that they found that looked almost like they hadn't died, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Their skin was preserved because they were blood drinking. I'm telling you the truth. And those mummies were really vampires. That's why that mummy that they unearthed, I got in trouble for that, by the way. That story we did about the one in the Yucatan.
Mhm.
Oh boy, man. So they went and they questioned everybody, like, what are you doing down here and stuff. The authorities went there and they said it may or may not have had something to do with what we talked about. I said, are they watching me? There's only 45,000 people here, you know. But we do have like 50,000 on the other platform, so maybe together there's enough people to.
Bro, I
make
bet
a
you
big
every
deal.
live stream you ping every single word that's in the forbidden dictionary.
Well, even with
100%, bro.
Even
100%.
if it's not curse words, I bet you every
Yeah.
key word, dude, it's just like pinging.
And then last night we were talking about Iran and Italy and the Illuminati.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Minimize that, dude. When you're doing that, go away from
Well,
the microphone when you do that. It's hurting my ears.
have you ever thought about the vampires like coming from the fallen angels? Because
Yeah.
I've always thought about this,
In particular,
and I always think
Azazel.
about, you know, there was the tree of life on earth, but then there's also one in heaven, and then the one that was on earth was taken up to heaven for a reason other than to keep us from staying immortal in our sin. But what if that's how the angelic maintain their immortality? They maintain, you know, like the whole ambrosia, the food of the gods, right? What if that's how they maintained it, and when it was taken away, you know, the next best thing is our blood, because we have the divine, the image of the creator made into us. And maybe to sustain their immortal forms, maybe to sustain the angelic forms, they have to feed on our blood to sustain themselves, because they no longer have access to the tree of life.
The life is in the blood, bro. The life
The
is in
blood
the
is
blood.
in the life. Yeah. Sparky has a question here. Sparky, what's going on, man? You can jump on, Sparky. Make sure that the link is there for everybody to be able to utilize. If you want to come on, Sparky's got a channel too. I like him. He's a good guy. He says, wait, so how Draco turned into vampires? Well, we've talked about on the show too, the Vril. The Vril is actually many different things. The Vril is energy, but it's also a vampiric race of the Drakes, actually the reptilians, which is really bizarre. And I know that Rex Rude guy, who he's a piece of work. I'm not going to
Rude,
talk.
bro.
He's a turd, man. But he said some things, some vile things to me since I had taken his story. And even though I told his story, and it was interesting because he went down the spiral to the inner earth. And I had a big time weird satanic dude who I know this guy too. Like me and my brother have known him for years. And he watched my show and he's still playing around with that stupid crap. And so I unfriended him, blocked him, whatever. But he reached out to me and goes, well, even though we differ religiously, that's a mild understatement, but that's a major understatement. He said that Rex Rude guy was totally right, though. He goes, if he went down the black spiral, he goes, he was checking off all the boxes. And he interacted with the Drake that were, whatever, because they're at war with with the vampire virus itself, which I believe it was what the chupacabra was. They were experimenting with these damn things, trying to get to the root of what it was. This is why the Monday show is so good. Even though we don't get as many people, we only get like 350, 400, whatever.
Hey,
we go down these amazing rabbit holes here, and it happens every Monday. But the Latin serpent or
Do
dragon
these
lord.
creatures live on Earth or in their own realm?
So hold on one second. So what this guy's asking, what he's talking about, how did that happen? How did it become what it is? Well, in every holy book on earth, you were told over and over again, do not drink blood. Do not eat the flesh, whatever. Because the human body is a temple. It's a holy thing. You're not supposed to mark it, scar it, or whatever. I know I am full of tattoos and I shouldn't have done that, but I did it. I was a young, brash individual. This particular Dracos, these dragons or whatever, they're a race of beings. But some of them have been infected with this virus, which makes them extremely weird, hostile, neurotic, or more than they already are. And they harvest people and animals and even each other for blood. And so even though it's only supposedly, according to my ufologist friends who are into the whole Federation, alien, and all that stuff, they go way down with that stuff. Like that's all really what it is that to them.
The black
to
goo,
us,
bro.
more spiritual. But the Drakes, literally a quarter of their population has been decimated by the vampires. And they don't say vampires; they call it the blood disease or whatever it is.
The leeches, they call them.
They're leeches. They're parasites. They absolutely are. And I believe that the Denai, or the children of Dan, as you call them, Joel, I believe that that's where they come from. Is that they were actually nurtured by the fallen. And they were like a fifth column within the Jewish people.
Like they were taught to do that, basically.
Exactly. And I
Well,
think they were a big
If you want to
problem.
watch, if you want to
forget
watch
which. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, if you want to watch the best documentary I've ever seen on the Tribe of Dan, it's Now You See TV, the Tribe of Dan. It's available on YouTube. And David Carrico, David Carrico breaks down who, what the Tribe of Dan is like nobody else, and it's completely in line with what's being said here.
Yeah.
So check it out, guys.
When they ended up in America, they set up a base, basically, a toehold, and their head shape was different too. When they arrived in Khazaria, the Turkuluk people, they said that they looked alien, like they thought they were some kind of another species or something. What's interesting too is that they were compared by the Boyars to look like people from within the earth. Now, how would those Germanic people who traded with them claim that? And that's one of the things that the Cossacks, that's why them being sort of a little more primitive, I guess, a little more meaner, angrier. I mean, you can look at in my blood, right? The Cossack, they were like, these people are gross. So they drink blood, they eat flesh, they deny Christ, kill them. Well, the Tartars, who were Muslim, predominantly Muslim, they looked at them as an affliction. They were afflicted, and so they wanted to get rid of them. They were just not good people. And according to Tamerlane, said every time he came upon the Khazars, they were feasting and reveling in human blood ritual. So these are people who nobody likes. Everybody thinks that they are absolute garbage. And, But imagine that small tribe manages to be ousted by Israel because they're apostates, but then they swing back around and convince everybody that their flavor of Judaism is the real one. They go back in, get their hooks back into the Jews.
They did it through acting, bro, and like doing these little
Mhm.
plays and winning the favor. And it's like all these
Everything.
little actors all the time, bro. Always little dudes that do the plays and all that
Mhm.
shit.
And they
Well,
parasitize three major religions through this, and it's not even they're not even true Jews anymore.
Well,
They're
it makes you
Synagogue
think why they got
Shaitan.
rid of the books, right? Like, I forget which one it goes into detail about it, if it's Jasher, Jubilee, or one of the books that have been deemed apocrypha, but
Yeah.
it talks about uh, not just that. And this is the weird thing, and I know I might get in trouble for saying this, but it says the soul is in the blood,
Mhm.
the soul's in the blood, and it even makes that statement about animals. I know some people say animals are soulless, but when you see these books talking about the souls in the blood, and then you, even for the animals, it's mentioning the souls in the blood, and then uh you hear the blood can cry out to heaven, like when Abel was killed, the blood was crying out to heaven. Or even in the book of Revelation, when the blood is crying out to heaven, there's something with the frequency of blood that can house a soul.
Mhm.
And I wonder if when they drink the blood, it's like they're taking that soul energy into themselves to extend their own lives.
Yeah,
I think
you're
you're
absolutely
right.
correct. And also within Mexican brujeria, when they sacrifice animals, they have rituals. I'm not gonna get into detail about how to do this stuff, but yeah, they take an animal that has more than 60% of its life is required for the energy. So like you can do major changes, and like only the top best of the best, like warlocks, because you know how like people that are fake are like, hey, this works, like magical works aren't always guaranteed. Like people that work with true entities, the work is 100% guaranteed, man. And they
Yep.
use not only animals but like bigger specimens. And like the bigger
Like
the specimen, the more the energy. But you have to be careful, because once you get like that energy, like that spirit that you're making a deal with, addicted to that size of like animal, then you can every time it asks you for something to keep you within its favor, it's going to keep asking you of a greater sacrifice than the last.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're absolutely right there, Joel, with the whole blood thing. It's true. Like there's people that can even like save themselves from like terminal diseases. It's all true, man. Like you have to be very careful not to
the
fall into these
adrenochrome,
pits.
right?
Yeah. No, not that dream. No, I'm talking like straight up like blood magic.
Blood
So
magic.
Like
Yeah.
you don't need to sustain yourself if you make a petition, and like you have to do absolutely everything that the entity says. The moment you start failing it, like it's gonna turn back
Well, that
against you.
doesn't
So
that
like
like speak volumes to Christ? Like his blood
yeah,
alone was enough to save
yeah, dude.
humanity, and
But
then you need
yeah.
all
It's
this
I
animal
forgot what
blood.
psalm it was. Like he's like, how many times must I tell you like that the material is not of like the flesh is like the material that of the flesh is not of the spirit. So like you're absolutely right. Like you like if you have like I mean, it is what it is, man. But some people they just want to keep altering reality to their
yeah,
That's
favor.
crazy.
But
look at
eventually all that's gonna
what
catch up
said.
to them, dude, because it can't keep
Wow,
sustaining
reality
that
is
entity.
far stranger than
It's a sucker's
fiction.
deal. Like Wolf always says, it's a sucker's deal, bro.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's a loan shark. You're making a deal with a loan shark, and it's like, oh, I want more and more of this stuff.
And like you
That's
always say,
crazy.
you always talk about the lawyers, but what about the district attorneys? You know, it's like
Yeah.
there are regionals and sub
Oh yeah,
regionals, and like I know Wolf always says that they don't know that it's absolute chaos, dog eat dog. But like, hey man, we got to talk about like warfare and who taught us the structure and military ranks and all that. That's now they're
that was them.
organized. They want you to believe that it's chaotic because they are chaotic in nature, but that's never going to change. But it doesn't. They always answer to somebody. There's always a bigger shark in the water, dude.
Yeah,
And like,
absolutely. Because but
For real.
these are like you're dealing with like bloodlines and crime families, literally.
mhm.
Yeah.
They're not. They
It's all
don't
a rigged
all
system,
go.
though. Like how somebody mentioned earlier, Lucifer. I can't even say this out loud. I'm gonna say it, man. Lucifer made like a pact with God. He's all like, God is like, hey, I need you to go and tempt the children, my creation, to see those who are worthy of like the Holy Spirit, those who are worthy of like heaven. And then Lucifer said, "You know what? The only thing that I ask is that in the last moment you accept me back into your kingdom. But it is his job to tempt you." And like
I don't think that's the way it works.
that is the
But
whole. I believe it wholeheartedly, man, because it is
you
is
are
the
allowed
truth.
to believe whatever you want. The thing
Yeah,
is, I don't
but
have
like,
to
but
believe
also
it.
like nothing,
Right.
nothing works without God. Like those who are truly adept, they never just go like asking like random spirits for things. They work with an entity, and all those entities, man, they know who the boss is, and nothing works without permission. Like even
Well,
when you damn yourself,
So
like the entities have to run back and to see if like
I
if
got to
it's in
say
God's
something,
will.
Shadow, before we get too far out into the
I will
ocean.
say the they can't do anything without God's permission, right?
No,
So
nothing.
they
Yeah, but the
operate
practitioner is
only
the one
under
asking
God's
for it.
Well, look at
So
Saul,
God's like, all
right?
right, you want to go outside of my grace? Then yeah, I give you guys permission to go answer his petition or whatever it was.
So
Right.
okay, so Thorwolf here, way back in the comments, been trying to say this. He says, look up Hunnish skulls. And it goes in time with what we were saying. He said,
Yeah,
raw
the
meat
oval
being
shaped
one of the
heads.
worst. Yes. And the Huns would have been from the same region that the King Bulan and those people were.
Scythians.
Yeah. Well,
Scythians the
not
same?
just they weren't the Scythians. The Scythians would have
Well,
been their neighbors. The Phrygian, it would have been Phrygian, Scythian, yes, neighbors, but they would have been further south. They would have been a little too far south. These people, the Huns, came from a colder climate. I think they were from northern Khazaria, which is what that is. They established that as a kingdom. When they stopped being warmongering horse people and started settling down into more of an agricultural role, of course, everybody knows about what's his face, Attila.
Attila
And
the
he had,
Hun.
yeah, and his brother, what was his brother's name? Bleda or whatever, Jableda or whatever. I don't know his name.
Jimmy the Hun.
Yeah, Jimmy Two Pops. So this
Jimmy
dude
Tupac.
decides that he's gonna and this guy and his brother decide that they needed to figure out a way to get this under control, this kingdom or whatever. And as at the time that they were kind of starting to wind down, then he dies. Attila dies. And then they kind of fade away into the pages of history, having not really done anything but fighting the Romans and winning some battles. But it was toward the end of the Roman Empire. But the Roman Empire did not really end, did it? It just morphed into something else. So it was toward the end of the Roman Empire becoming the Holy Roman Empire, which was a whole nother thing, but still the same. It's kind of like Megatron becoming Galvatron, right? It's the same thing. It's just a different name and a little bit different structure, You do see that those are the people. Those are the people, right? But the tribe of Denai, I believe, was there already. They had been there for a while, lurking in the south. The two meet, and they're very similar in nature, very similar in whatever. And they go to these people whenever they were having the problem with the Ottomans on the rise, and the Habsburg said, "Look, the Austro-Hungarian emperor says we have these Ottomans at our doorstep. What do we do? We've only won by the grace of God and the Swiss pikemen," which is crazy to think that the Swiss are now the most neutral country on earth. But they were fierce warriors. The Swiss pikemen were just notorious mercenaries back then, and you had the Spanish horsemen, the cavalry, and what were their spearmen called, Anthony? The lancers.
The Lancers, yeah.
The Spanish lancers. They were just brutal, dude. And then you had the
Spanish are some of the best fighting. It's one of the best fighting forces in
absolutely.
history.
The Rodolero was a freaking
Okay,
badass soldier.
The Tercio dominated the
I'm glad I have
battlefield
their
for
genetics
200
in my
years.
body, dude.
Yeah. So whenever the Spaniards at the siege of Vienna, when they were at the gates of Christendom, which was the premier power at that time, was Austria. Hungary and Austria were the twin heads. They were the ones that kept the Christianity going. One in the east, one in the west. When the Ottomans and all the Saracens and all of their people that they had brought to bear against the what were they called? The Janissaries. They had the Janissaries. They were bad dudes. A lot of those were just people from places like the Balkans that they had conquered. The Janissaries were not even Turkish. They were made up of other conquered people who had been forced or coerced into converting to Islam.
Basically,
The
slaves.
Christian slave soldiers.
It's like Christian slave soldiers, but they were fierce because they knew that they could get lots of reward for doing well. And when they get back to Istanbul,
That's all blood magic, dude.
they were all rewarded very handsomely. Then they went off to their lands wherever they were given. They were given land, lots of land. That's why a lot
So,
of Turks
Josh-
look like white people.
They were not given; they were entitled.
So Josh, question, because you're going that route. The first thing that popped in my head was Vlad Tepes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the rumors were he'll impale people and drink their blood. Do you think he was part of this Khazarian? Because if you look at the Khazar Empire and where Romania sat, they weren't that far apart.
Yeah, I do. And his brother Radu became a hostage. The Wallachian kingdom was forced by the papacy to give one of their people as a hostage to the Ottomans. And
But
of
also,
course,
the
he
hostage
became
would
one.
trade secrets. They would
I think that
give
it was-
him like war secrets and stuff from the family.
Okay,
So when he
yes.
got back, when they gave the child back,
Okay,
he would be
let me finish.
deemed
Yes,
a
you just interrupted
king.
me. So Radu, see, this is what happens. When you, I love you to death, Chad, but you drive me nuts with that crap, dude. That's not good.
Sorry, bro.
So yes, I do believe that they were a part of that bloodline. I think that when he's the Order of the Dragon, I think that's where it came out of, was Khazaria. I do. And I believe that there were two different elements to that. There was this fake Jewishness and fake Christianness. That's what I believe. Because Dracula, who is the defender of Christendom, right? That was one of his titles.
Mhm.
But here's a guy who, in the forest of death, or what is it called? That forest in Romania, they call it the forest of death or something like that.
Mhm.
He impels 10,000 Turks, and the blood drips down on his table, and he drinks it in front of his enemies to show them, look, I'm drinking your blood. Now go back and tell your boss what I just did. He was straight gangster. But by the words of his own people, this is something that he didn't just do for show. He developed a taste for human blood. But I think it was something that was already ingrained in him, because I'm going to go out on the limb here and people are going to think I'm cuckoo bananas. But one day, maybe when I'm long gone, history will vindicate me. I think that he was part of a vampiric bloodline. I don't think that Irishman that wrote the book, I don't think that Stoker just stumbled upon him.
Well,
let me tell you, I
yeah.
found this. No, he didn't just find it.
Well, look at our current king of England. Does he not say he's a descendant of Tepes?
Yeah,
He
they
is,
are.
dude.
And get this, they all are. And they're also descendants of Charlemagne. Charlemagne would have, by all intents and purposes, been his cousin. They were
Probably
cousins.
still alive right now, dude.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Not only
Yeah.
that, but when you look at the genetic bloodline, there was a Mexican president. It was back in the 60s. Somebody had said that they had his genetic blood and it was tested or something. And I read it in like some magazine, like Scientific American or something. And it said that his blood, he was a direct descendant of Vlad Tepes. It was Emperor Napoleon Maximilian, whatever. And then he was also the descendant of the. How is that even possible? This guy's a Mexican. They said he was 30, get this, 33% Aztec.
Of course.
Who drank blood and ate people too.
Mhm.
I mean, and then you find out in 2016.
That's in our bloodline, bro.
This other article I was reading, and it said that the closest relatives to the Aztecs were from southern India. Right? So what in the hell is going on here? Now, there is a guy, I need to get him back on the show, Robert Kreider. Robert, if you're listening, look him up. He's on my Facebook. I just haven't had time to get back to him. He did a whole thing about how the time before the flood, everybody that was here in America, they were here mining for gold. They were Persian. They were, from India. They were from China. They were all these different races. And then when Egypt too, and whenever these Anunnaki left, they just left them here. And then they gradually became the natives. Now, if the natives were all really just one tribe of people and they all just spread out everywhere, they all came from the same place and they're just really friends, right? then why were they
Hey, one
always
thing, Wolf.
destroying
You,
each other? Because
you
they
think
worked
Christopher
all the time.
Columbus wasn't wrong when he's all like, "We're gonna go over there and meet a bunch of Indians"? Because maybe he knew something that we didn't, and he was like a
Well, that
wannabe.
is,
He was
yeah,
like
but
a
that's
wannabe Templar, bro. He was a wannabe
yes,
Templar. Like his ships had
yes.
the red crosses because there
Mhm.
were already Templars here that interacted, or Templars that came before him that interacted
And
with
Phoenician and Chinese and Viking.
yeah, with the other people that were here. So like a lot of people thought it's because of Christianity, but no, he had that red cross because he was a Templar and he wanted
Well,
like to
there's a museum
signal
in
to other people
Finland
that
that
were here
has
that
like they have native artifacts that aren't from the Sami culture. They were something that was traded to them when they
Yeah.
went on these adventures with their Norwegian friends, which were Leif Erikson, basically,
Yeah.
right?
And then the
And so
Templarian order, bro, they
there
all
was an
became
entire trade route
the
from the North
privateers after they
Sea
got
that
ousted by the Vatican.
went across the Atlantic from the Scandinavian countries to like the jumping off point Greenland, and then there was in the south, and then they would go from there to Canada, and then they'd move down the coast and they would trade. Well, one of these things looks like an Algonquin head basher. Where did these people from Finland, how would they get that? How did they get it? They traded,
Mhm.
right?
You
So
think
there
you think
had to
somebody
be
used it before they
something,
took
and
it back
maybe the
home, bro? Like,
Sami
hey, let me get
people.
it.
Okay, Chado, I'm gonna pretend like you're not there for a minute. Maybe the Sami people that they went with these Vikings, and maybe they were used as cannon fodder, probably, or they were kidnapped and forced to go on these long ships, and they were like, "Look, we're gonna sleep, you're gonna row." That's what they did, because they would take people from Northumbria and England, and they would be like, they returned them after they used them for a couple of years, and they'd be like, "What'd they do with you?" Well, good thing they didn't
Saxons.
rape me. That was one of the best things that didn't happen.
But it did everything else.
We did everything
Those are
else.
the
Ate
Saxons, bro.
lutefisk, and then I was forced to row a lot. But they didn't bugger me. That's a good thing, right?
Didn't L.A. Marzulli find some DNA evidence of Phoenicians' DNA being in the haplogroups in the Incas and the South American empires?
I don't even know whether he did or not. I'd have to ask him. I could reach out to him and ask him and give you an answer probably by Wednesday. But I don't even have to ask LA to know that that's probably correct, because the Phoenicians had their anchors right off the coast of Mexico, right off the coast of Tampa. Yeah, I mean, sure. They found Chinese anchors off of the coast of Alabama. Ancient Chinese anchors. Ancient Chinese anchors. Yeah, I would say that if you ask me that, yes, I do believe that. And we've had remote viewers who've seen temples and pyramids and stuff across the Americas that were made by people from Asia, Africa. These people were brought here. They were brought here by somebody or something for the express purpose of probably mining for gold. And if you look at our greedy little eyes, we see gold, we're like, ooh, why do we want that element so much? Why is it so important to us?
Doesn't it have
Like silver more.
a positive medical
It does.
impact on us? Because like
Mhm.
silver does, but I think gold also has some
Bronze
type
is
of
better.
positive.
I mean, it stands to reason that if you are one of the ancient people, and I'm talking like antediluvian, like before the flood. If you're one of these people, the world was a very different place, and you're going to look and you're going to say, why is everything covered in gold and silver? Why? And there was so much of it. Mexico still, I think they produce 64,000 tons of silver a year. They're still the top producer of it, right? But they don't have any gold anymore. It was all looted by the Spanish and the Portuguese.
Or why is heaven paved in streets of gold?
Exactly. It stands to reason to me that the ancient people were a lot different than we are. More technologically advanced, and then they went through these wars. Because if you read about the Vedas, they talk about these wars.
Yes.
And one of my friends, I've asked him, but I'm like, what happened? Why are these people flying around in ships and then there's no more technology? He says, dude, it was bred out of us. Literally. He says
I think we de-evolved. That curse in the
De-evolved,
garden, we
reset.
started losing DNA, we started de-evolving. I
Mhm.
think if antediluvian man, one antediluvian man could probably take out 100 men. And I'm only saying that
Mhm.
because we have no concept of what our world was before the flood.
You could
Mhm.
probably
Or what
attack you
man
with
was
like
like.
telekinesis and all that shit, dude.
We don't know.
Because they weren't mentally weak, man. I bet you they had some other shit. They didn't need cell phones to communicate, bro. I'll tell you that right now. Telepathy is real, and they didn't need all this shit that we got. We're nerfed.
Well,
You
think
say
about it.
things that are
Autism, all these diseases coming
very
out.
clearly true, but the way you present it, Chato.
He's
Yeah, Army
fantastic, isn't he?
rolls off the tongue, don't
Anybody
it?
else, I would have just told him to F off and get the F off my stream.
But I'm right,
he's-
dude. But I'm right. You know I'm
you
right.
are, but you the way you present it, it's like, right?
You want me to sit like this and present myself?
Yes, you could
So-
do that. Yes, you're a
so
former
read-
military. You have that about you. You can do it.
By the Genesis 6 Conspiracy by Gary Wayne.
Gary Wayne is
Read
good.
that.
We need to get him on the show. We got,
Yes, you do.
I was supposed to have a bunch of different people, and I just haven't had time because I've
That's
been
where I get a lot of my info
building
from is that
stories so
man.
I can get the Patreon. The Patreon is very pivotal right now because we're doing a lot of work on that, and then we're doing a lot of work on the. Dude, why don't you take a
You
break
need to
and
reach
go
out to
really
David
know
Carrico as well, man. You could have the greatest
Oh, you know what?
conversation
Let's
ever
do
with
this.
that.
Nathan
Why
Reynolds,
don't-
dude.
okay.
Get Nathan Reynolds.
Listen,
Get Nathan Reynolds, dude.
Okay, all of you guys want to get these people on here? Why don't y'all do me some favors
Sure.
and go get them on here?
I'll try,
Okay,
dude. I'm
okay.
just,
No,
but
for
like,
sure.
you have more
promise you,
pull
there's
than
no
we do,
one
bro.
on
You
earth
got
that's going to
more
blow my
pull.
mind. But I can get anybody you want to sit in front of me, and I will find common ground with them, and we will have the best show you could think of. Because
Okay.
nobody's going to interview these people like me. You know that. I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
saying honest.
I bet you Nathan Reynolds, bro. Like he'll blow your mind.
Nobody's going
That
to blow
guy.
my mind.
Wait,
He's
is
like
he
he's from the Linden Road. Yeah, he's a descendant of the Reynolds rap family. Like they're all into.
he was on the confessionals, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Nathan Reynolds, yeah.
yeah. Nathan Reynolds, dude.
Get Nathan on here with me and watch what happens. Nothing.
Yeah, I told
anything
the
from
story.
Tony. God bless Tony Merkel. I love him to death. He's a friend of mine, and pray for his wife and pray for mine. Somebody reached out to me and said, "It's not a coincidence that you and his wife both having problems." Yeah, that's kind of weird. We're big truthers.
That's
But
what
I
the
would
enemy
love to talk
does,
to
right?
some of
When
the
they
people
can't
who
get to you, they
interviews.
go
Yeah,
after your family.
exactly.
I can tell you right now, it's a different ball game if you get them on there, because I know a lot of things that I want to ask these people. A lot of things I want to talk about. When we had Guy Anderson on, that dude, I mean, it was a great show. He's really onto something. The Cabbage Patch Babies and all that, because all these
100%.
people have these specialties that they specialize in. I don't specialize in anything. Some people might say, "Dog man."
You specialize in security, bro.
That's
You're
putting me in a
badass.
box that I'm not really comfortable in, because that's not people's like, well, that's your wheelhouse. No, it's not, because then they want you to stay in that lane. You're not going to get the answers to Dogman, vampires, anything else if you don't connect all the dots. That's the key. And that's what we're trying to do here at PRT. And that's why they're smothering us and stifling us and trying to kill our numbers and everything else that they've been doing to us.
Josh, I'll say this is what attracted me to your show is the fact what you just said there is, and this is how I operate. I know I don't have all the pieces. The Bible says, we don't have all the pieces. But, when you start talking to everybody, and if you're good enough at puzzles, you start putting the pieces together, you start seeing the whole picture. And I think that's what we need to do as, a community is listen to everybody, because not all of us has the whole truth. We, unless we boast, in our own knowledge, and God doesn't want that. So he gives everyone a piece. And if everyone bring their pieces together, we'll eventually find the whole picture.
That's right. That's right. And the thing is, there is so much information out there. And I've said this many times. It's like a star fell from the sky and everybody ran out and got a piece of it, and there's 5 major religions and everybody's claiming that they have the pieces, the answers, but they just have a piece. Now, that's also dangerous in some ways, because people will run out and try to get everybody to become one world this and one world. I don't want all that. We don't need any more homogenization. I think everybody's good the way they are. I don't think we should breed everybody out of existence. I'm not racist. I'm just being honest. I love
Each and of their own
I love
kind.
black people. I love Hispanic people. I love everybody to have their own. I love studying people's cultures, and I am definitely a student of culture. And I love it. I love hanging out and spending time with people from other cultures and them teaching me about their culture. Now, do I want to live in a neighborhood where I'm the weird guy because I'm not speaking, some foreign language that really was not part of this to begin with. No, I don't want to be that. But am I going to hate those people for? No, I don't hate them at all. But I will speak up for what is right. Right. And I have had to recently go back with people who are saying all these horrible things about this man that died. And even people who've said a couple shitty things about Jeff Meldrum. Jeff Meldrum's not my favorite person. Supposedly he said something about me, whatever, at a conference. I don't care. Somebody came and told me, oh, he said this about you. I don't give a shit what he said. God bless him. Let him say whatever. I mean, the man's gone now. He's gone. But I'm not going to participate in the like as soon as he dies, like, okay, yeah, now that he's dead, I'm in charge of the apers. And so they're already having their own whatever.
Not even God delights in the death of the wicked. So
And you're
that
not
speaks
supposed
volumes.
to take in the
They're all his
ruination
children,
of
bro.
man. You're not supposed to be happy in it. You're not supposed to revel in it. If you have an enemy and they go down, then you may make your life easier, but you're not supposed to be happy about that and rejoice because these were people and these demons won a victory by them taking that person.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're rejoicing with demonic energy.
It's one less image of God out of the earth, and they win, not us.
Exactly.
Hey, the amount of people that have showed their ass over this Charlie Kirk thing is insane.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
and there are people like if you look at our particular community, right? Somebody dies, and immediately there's a bunch of people already like I'm talking about Meldrum. Everybody's already happy about it. I know half a dozen people who had a real bone to pick with him and had their reasons for not liking him, good reasons, right? I'm not one of them. So what if he said something? But 2 or 3 of my friends got really bad on the bad end with him, and that's fine. They had whatever. But some of their followers, not them themselves, but reached out to me and says, yeah, I'm trying to make a new thing so we can push back and take this in another direction or whatever. I'm like, go ahead. I'm not going to be a part of that. And not, for no other reason than I don't believe it's a giant monkey.
But that just tells you a lot about his other followers, dude. The top ones were like, hey, now that he's gone, we want you to be in charge. So like,
no, they
I
didn't
don't
ask
mean
me to be
to
in charge.
speak illy, but
No,
like
they want to
I
be
mean
to
to speak illy, but like
ill,
it speaks volumes about like
Yeah.
the
And
character. of-
look at what is his name? I'm not going to say his name because it's not polite, but as soon as I had the problem with the dumbass from Kentucky, this guy jumped all in there and was going back and forth. And I'm like, why is this guy? I'm not going to say his name. He used to work for the BFRO, pretending to be my friend, pretending to be his friend, and then saying crap about people publicly, and then behind the back going, okay, yeah, I'm just whatever. Nobody asked for your help, and nobody asked, whatever. And it said some horrible things about me publicly, and then said, well, no, I'm just trying to. No, you're not. This is the kind of stuff people do, and they work together until it doesn't suit them. That guy is so turned around. Let me tell you something. He has people in his camp that he thinks are his friends, and they are absolutely not his friends. Absolutely not. They're using him every way they can. But he's made it clear that he is going to be an enemy of mine to death. So to death do us part. We will be enemies.
That
Now,
is just
the
silly,
difference
man.
is that I will pray for him and his family, even though I don't like them, but he won't pray for me. That's fine. But because God doesn't care who you like or don't like. You're supposed to love. Even if you don't like the person, the sin, you're supposed to love them. And I do love them. I love every single one of them. I do. I love every single one of them who attacks me. I love them and I pray for them. Please pray for them. Because what you want is for them to change, to go and fall on their knees and pray and ask for forgiveness with an unangry, unenviable heart. And eventually
Pray all
God
you
will
want, but
take
that's
care.
free will, brother. That's free will. You can
Fire 'em
ask
out.
for it all you want, but if it's not in their heart, God can't grant it because he asks of them what he asks of you. So
But I think to Josh's point, I mean, if you think about it, Paul was the greatest persecutor of Christians, right? He was killing
yeah,
us. And God used him, turned him around, and he became one of the greatest figures for Christ. So even if these people are attacking Josh, I agree we should pray for them and that they have their road of
yeah.
Damascus moment where, at one point, yeah, they're your enemy, but if God can use them and turn them around, they would be one of the greatest figures to help push forward the information, the gospel, and everything that's going on and bring the truth out.
It's a testimony, bro. Like once you figure out how your life went wrong and you start spreading that information to people, that's what
Yep.
affects them the most. And that is the word of God because it's the truth. And anything that goes against the truth is the inverse and the opposite of the word of God.
Vixen, I don't know who you are, but you're not correct. I am not talking about Dark Waters. So I don't know what that comment means, but I'm getting rid of it, and I don't know you. I know that there's a push right now to try to get all these old enemies, to fight with me. I know Vulture has returned. Let him return.
They're even starting to pay, bro.
They're just, yeah, I'm sure they are because they're now talking about my. But thank you if they're willing to pay for the Patreon,
yeah,
just so they can spy and hear what we have to say. So be it.
At least the information, at least our intent is reaching their words or their ears. So like your words aren't going into empty space never, dude.
Jake, you dropped off the thing there a couple times. What's going on, Jake? Before you disappear again.
Yeah, it was a connection issue.
You
Had
had a
to
big one. Yeah.
reconnect with a mobile device. Can you hear me?
Oh, that's very good. Yeah, I can hear you. Sparky says, I am more. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that Homer town and shake the dust off your feet.
Amen.
That's right. And that's what you got to do. Pray for them and move on. That's all you got to do. Not everybody's going to love you and like you. Now, just because you love everybody. Okay, Vixen, if you're sorry, you're sorry. That's fine. Whatever. I just don't know you. Haven't seen you before and just kind of thought that was weird to put it in capital letters. No, I'm not attacking Dark Waters. Is he one of my favorite people? Hell no. I don't like the guy. Honestly,
It could have been an old listener because they used to ask to put questions in capital letters.
Yeah.
So
I don't like him. And you can tell him I said that. I don't really care. He knows that. It's not a big secret. Hey, Dark, he doesn't like you. I don't like him either. What he's going to say. And good. We'll dislike the hell out of each other. How about that? That's good. I'm not down with those people. I'm not. I have a whole, just rogues gallery of enemies that are just villains, dude. And I'm sorry, they're just villains. There's nothing I can say other than just be wary of them, be careful for them. They're vipers, a bunch of them. And this field though, this field breeds that, that frauding, grifting element. I saw Bigfoot. Sure you did. But they're muddying the waters and not getting anywhere. That's a sad thing too, because there's so many people who have information and it needs to be put out there. But how many? Okay, so we're having a whole conversation in the chat about Kevin Murphy. What's up, brother? The Samaritans. So he's talking about Germans and Scythians all make up Slavic people, but Scythia include a huge network of tribes. Yeah, and they were part of those Turkic people and. So Thor Wolf says, yes, Scythians were their own people before the Slavs. Yes. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. How many people, and this is me bragging on you guys, right? How many people have a chat in the paranormal community like we do, where they're talking about the Scythians? Most people don't even know who the Scythians, the Phrygians, the Sumerians, they don't know who these people are. Maybe you've heard of the Thracians. Maybe, who knows? But they don't know who these people are. Most of these people have been lost to time, and they've been bred into other races of people.
Like the Arcadians?
The Arcadians, yeah. And there's the Arcadians and the Akkadians. They're two different things. There's the Syrians, and then there's the Assyrians. And a lot of people say, well, the Assyrians don't exist anymore. I had somebody tell me that. I said, no. I have a friend who's Assyrian. They still exist. And
I think it's messed up how they call them subcultures, bro. I think that's messed up. How they call them subcultures just because they derived off of somebody else. So just by that, the terminology in the English language, it's like they're beneath them.
That's interesting. Kevin Murphy's talking about the Allens. The Allens are another interesting people. If you look at all these different people, the Huns and all the Vandals, the Goths and the Visigoths, two different things. You see all of these different these types of people just come together. It's interesting because some of these people gave the Macedonians fits on their way through the steppes.
How do you spell Alan, bro?
People later on were the people of Tamerlane, of the Huns, and of course Genghis and Kublai Khan. Kubla being Genghis's grandson. Why do you hear about Kubla and not Kubla's dad? Because he was a spoiled nobody who drank himself to death. But his son, who was Genghis's grandson, became a very powerful guy, very powerful, ruled half of China. And so even the Chinese Kui, they were forced to wear that as a symbol of who they were in the pecking order of the Mongolian society. That you see that headwear even in the 19th century as they were working on the railroads here in Texas. The Comanches ended up taking some of their scalps, and it was all just that one ponytail with something that comes from the centuries before subjugation at the hands of the Mongols. The Mongols being the Asian people of the steppes, not the European.
So
It's a
the
very interesting thing. When you stop and you look at who these people were, the Khazars we were talking about with Joel, the Khazars being not the Ashkenazi Jews or the Sephardic Jews, but both. Their bloodline went through both of those people, but it was diluted heavily in the Sephardic people, whereas in the Ashkenazi it was very heavy. I always thought it strange too that the Ashkenazi has the word Nazi in there.
Yeah, and the Khazarians, a lot of people forget they followed the cognate style of living and ruling, so they were a lot more akin with the Mongols than most people
Mhm.
realize. Like
Very
people forget the Golden Horde, is not the same cognate as the Mongolian Empire. People tend to put them together, but they're actually two separate empires.
yeah.
so
And
I got a
Aki
smell
Khan
like
was
flowers, dude, like a strong scent of like flowers. That's pretty cool. Sorry.
I don't even
That
know what
is
you're
insane. It
talking.
smells like vanilla and like chocolate.
Well, the Khazarians, if you look at their history, I mean, you get a group of Jews that come and convince the ruler to convert,
For real,
and then
bro. Don't
the ruler causes the rest of the empire to follow in suit of this new national religion, right? So, I mean, even if you look at DNA, right, a lot of the Khazarian Jews, if you look at their DNA, they all uh, are centralized in Northern Europe and Asia. They're not in the Middle East like the Sephardic uh, bloodline. So I have both Ashkenazi and Sephardic, and because that's gonna happen, you're gonna have both communities at some point mix because of
Mhm.
conquest and of all because everyone's conquering each other. So at some point, bloodlines and cultures are gonna mix at some point somewhere. That's why,
usurpers.
yeah. So you know, um, but going back to the Khazarians, if you look at pure Khazarians that have no Sephardic influence or bloodline,
Mm-mm.
when you look at their bloodline, they're all centralized in like Europe and North Asia. When you look at Sephardic, they're all throughout the Middle East, Africa,
Mhm.
some in Spain.
Spain, through the
A lot of
Moors.
the Ethiopian Jews are actually Sephardic.
Yeah,
So,
and if you look at what you're talking about, that the Ethiopian Jews in particular,
mhm,
I think that they have a lot of validity.
yes,
They
they do.
do because of Bathsheba. Um, I think that when the Spain was conquered, and when people say the Moors, that's a big, broad, catch-all term. You're talking about Berbers and all kinds of Bedouins and Arabs that were all
Yep.
conquered, under the flag of Islam. North African people, let's put it this way, and
That's a
the
lot of
Saharan African
ethnicities
people,
there.
a lot of ethnicities, and the Saharan people. When we were talking about this cyclopean thing that you had that attacked your people, your family, and you put the mezuzah up. Well, here's one of the things that I was wondering when you said that. I thought, why would he do that? Unless one of two things: you're Jewish or you're only concerned with the Old Testament, which I thought was kind of weird. But then you said, "Oh, I'm Messianic Jew." I was like, okay, now I get it. And so here is the weird thing about that. A lot of people aren't going to know what that is, right? Because it's obscure. But you could invite things to you, You know, because if you are Jewish, you have a bloodline, and certain entities will follow. Do you have anybody in? Before I go any further about the Cyclopean thing, I want to make the connection to North Africa, and I'm going to jump off. But do you have anybody in your family who could have been?
Okay, I know where you're going with this. My
different-
mom is black Puerto Rican, so there's that West African genetics involved in there.
That's West Africa, though. That's not Saharan.
No, it's not sub-Saharan, but if you look at the Islamic
We're getting
trade
snatched
route,
up everywhere, dude.
slave trade route, they did travel people across the desert to be sold off the coast. So it's not 100%. I mean, I think my mom, she has like bloodlines in the Congo and I want to say
Okay,
north
all right.
of Ethiopia,
Are you
not
sure?
Egypt.
Hold on. Before we go any further, are you sure that it's Congolese?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because this is a weird thing, and this is another connection. Another connection.
Are we talking about generational curses, or what are we talking about here?
Just in your blood.
Possibly because there is this giant spider that is known to be, and there are accounts.
I know what you're talking about. Oh my God,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, in the Congo.
Yes. Yeah, I forget it's a god. It's a pagan god, the spider god.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so
wow.
if you did some research, well, we could save that. I want to record with you. I'd like to formally ask you to record with me, right here on the show. Just whenever you get the time. You have a way to reach out to me other than the show? Do you have a way to?
Yeah, I believe actually I've reached out before via email.
Probably. I got a ton of.
That's
what I'm gonna do with Dick when he gets down here. I'm gonna make him just be the email guy. Read the.
I will go ahead and email you again and say, hey, I'm from this particular podcast. I try not to put too much information because I have a military background that.
That's fine. We don't have to divulge any of that. That doesn't matter at all.
Okay.
I'm not asking for nothing,
He's a ranger
man.
boy.
And I'm also not only am I a veteran, I'm also a teacher at a school, and I don't want.
That's important. Yeah. So when anybody starts going too deep, I always tell them when we're talking on the phone, I'll just tell them, look, you don't have to go way down this rabbit hole with me. I mean, you just.
I'll go down the rabbit hole. I'm just not going to divulge too much personal information.
And if you do want to go down the rabbit hole with me, great, but you don't have to divulge all the information. Or if you want to give me the story, that's fine.
And this is why, you don't know how many times I've been on the verge of calling in, but I hold back because I'm like, look, I have a lot to risk. I have 6 kids. I have a wife. I don't know how my job or anything would handle this. I mean, I really don't know because
when you start
what we're talking about
Jewish
would be
bloodlines,
considered
it's like
fringe.
a huge line.
What we're talking about would even be fringe amongst the Christian community, and I'm pretty sure you've been attacked by Christians, so-called Christians themselves.
Yeah.
So. I have a family to protect. That's why I don't divulge much, but I would be happy to do a call with you. And again, I will probably email you tonight just as a reminder of that. Who I am, and that's the main thing. I just want to protect my identity because. Even among my students, they are very into trying to find out who I am. Where I've had them all try to Google me and they cannot find me because when I was in the service, one of the main things they taught us was to scrub our identity and information off the internet. So, like. When I was younger, I had a MySpace and all these other social media accounts, and
so
they
you don't have to explain anything else.
Yeah,
we're totally on the same page. I have a lot of people who give me stories. Y'all know that, and I don't say their names, or I'll say the first name and that's it. Or sometimes I'll just use a last name. Sometimes it's easier to say last name. But
even the Osama bin Laden thing, I'm only comfortable with that because a lot of that is kind of like out in the open, and anyone can really speak on that nowadays. But you know, like when the whole Osama bin Laden thing happened, and I found out what happened, and you know, and I had to destroy. I had to one copy media over and give it over to the public relations, and then destroy the rest of the media, and then hear our president at the time, which was Obama, lie about a lot of this stuff, including. I'll say this much: he lied about our boots in the ground in Syria. We had boots on the ground because I was there creating over 1,000 accounts for our military members who go into Syria.
Yeah.
So,
here's what we're gonna do, because I gotta run, folks. I gotta go to work, and so I'm running late already. I'm behind. But because we have a couple people who are on vacation, including Maddie, who's on vacation. Hope she's having fun because we're dying over here. Exactly, Richard. Look at it's terrible, dude. She just wants
Chicago
to go
Maddie,
run around in Chicago and leave us all in a lurch and while we're sick.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So here's what we're gonna do. If you could get in touch with me, and we could probably do a really good show. And Dick, you want to co-host with me? That'd be great because we could talk to this guy. And there's a lot.
I love this guy. This guy's great.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of stuff we could glean together. I know a lot about Hebrew culture too, and I speak some. So here's another thing too. And no, I'm not a Mossad agent. I had somebody message me that you work for the Mossad and CIA, and I'm like, what?
Oy vey.
Yeah. So I made up this show to point out the flaws.
Do you have an X account?
No.
I will warn you. They will try to reach you through social media, and they'll try to use like females, honeypots, to try to dry. And the only reason I talk about this because I had that happen to me. I'm like, nah, bruh. I'm for the Jewish people, but I'm not like for the government.
No, not at all.
I'm for Zion, but not the Danite Zionist kind
That's
of
what it
regime.
is too. Danite Zionist. That's exactly what that is, and people don't realize it. So anyway, we could have a great show. We'll do something podcast wise. Probably be good enough to put on Patreon or the whatever. But I think with you, I think I would just put it out there free. Put it on a Saturday night or something. And Richard, you can co-host with me.
Awesome.
Pray, guys, that Richard can get his crap together and get down here to work and stop being a bum up there, hanging out at his cabin looking like Ed Gein. You and your dad comes out, he's like, what are you doing? Talking about ghosts and Bigfoot and shit, and walks back inside.
Right.
Why didn't you do something with your life, lad?
So funny.
How
After
he
I just
talk?
did the
He's British, right? He's British. He come out and go, oh, good Lord, you're talking about the Bigfoot again. What is wrong with you? You don't eat your meat, you don't get any pudding. And he walks.
Like, dude, I just shingled your roof. Lay off, eh? Like, holy smokes.
He's like, after 30 years of this nuts, you shingled some roof. Oh, bloody good for you. What? You think
So
the sun
funny.
shines out of your arse because you bloody shingled some roof?
It's so funny.
Okay. Anyways, Joel, thanks for calling in. Thanks for showing up, man. The last thing I'm going to tell you though, before because we're going to talk about this when we get you down on the show, the cyclopean beings that you can look this up. There's like the whole bunch of stuff in the Saharan area.
Yeah, I didn't put
Nubian
any of that
underground
together
stuff.
till you mentioned it, because like there was this fixation with the spiders, and I don't understand what was the spider connection and why
bloodline,
this.
brother.
Gary Wayne explains the Cyclopeans very well. in
Gary
his
Wayne
book.
explains it all. Look, Richard is that kind of guy. He's like your friend. He's like, yeah, you know a lot, but you know who really knows a lot? Superman. That's what he does to me all the time. He's like, you got some good work. You got some good work. But you know who's really smart? He names somebody else. That's that. Yeah, if you were good like
You
him.
said we all need to work
Hey.
together to figure this out, brother.
Okay,
Look,
yes,
we all got a piece of the puzzle.
Piece
We
of the
just gotta
puzzle.
figure it out how it fits, right?
And I'm totally
That's it.
not jealous of this, but Richard likes to throw it in my face a lot. That's the thing. That he wants to remind me that there are 100 people that are better than me.
I did not say that
You
once.
didn't say
sir.
that, but you allude to it a lot.
It's like that Roman emperor,
I'm
right?
here
He
with
had,
you, not them.
The one guy always whispered that you're just a man. You're just a man.
That's
That's what
it.
Richard's behind me on the horse. Sir, you're just a man. I'm like, why are you talking that way? I didn't.
What is it?
So
Remember
Canada
what?
decided to become my dad. Remember, you're
What is
just
it
a
that
man.
the slave whispered in his ear? Remember, what was it? That he whispered in the king's ear every day, once a day. Remember?
You are not a god.
No, it was one of the Roman emperors got that
That's what I'm
slave to
saying. You're
whisper.
just a man.
Yeah, you're just a
That
man.
that
I
was
thought that's what it
you're
was. You were
just a
not a
man.
god. You're just a man.
Is that
Yeah.
what it was? I
Yeah,
thought there was.
you're just a man.
You don't
So
even
he
know because you're
didn't.
full of Tim Hortons and dope.
I quit smoking weed like 7 months ago, bro.
When did you quit eating Tim Horton?
About 4 days ago.
Exactly. Exactly. You've seen the videos, right?
Oh,
Good grief.
do
dude.
Canadians really know what's in their coffee?
Yeah, exactly. And they say that too.
Bruh.
But yeah, I just want to say it took a lot out of me to really talk to you. I mean, I've been tracking you for a few years now. I
Tracking you.
just, not like that. Like I've been following you and your channel for a few years. It's
Yeah.
just every time you guys post that, yeah, share a story. Like, yeah, I want to share my story, but there's a lot of stuff at the time that I couldn't share or I couldn't correlate because those are like I mentioned the whole SOCOM thing, and that is a haunted place, and it's one of those places where if you work there at night by yourself, and I tell you, like I'm not, I was being very logical. I'm like, dude, I'm like the only one here. Like, who's drinking coffee at this time?
Mhm.
Who's walking around? Because
You
I'm the
should,
only one here. Like I'm no, so my thing is I gotta check who's out there because I'm supposed to be the only one here.
dude. We
That's
have a
my
friend who
job.
did security at the base in Roswell, the former base. The Air Force
Yeah.
base there. And he was an SP. I met this guy at Nellis Air Force Base years ago when I was doing private security there. And this guy was a good friend of my sister's husband, whatever. But anyway, he was saying that he had some crazy stuff happen. Imagine seeing the ghost or what looks like the ghost of an alien. Imagine that.
Dude, or just okay. So you got dark world, gray world, and what you call unclassified green world, right? And sometimes when you talk to each other, because we kind of forget, like, yeah, hey, we're supposed to be compartmented. We're not supposed to talk about each other's stuff. Sometimes you'll be talking to these guys who are working, in that disclosed location, and they were like, yeah, there's this new engine we're doing. And I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, oh, wait, I'm not supposed to talk about that. I'm like,
just like blurted it out.
well, a lot gets said because, us military members, a lot of times, we're bored, we're throwing barbecues, we're drinking, and we're just sharing stories. And we're talking shop, and then we forget, hey, yeah, you're not supposed to know what I know, and you're not supposed to know, I'm not supposed to know what you know, because
that's how the aircraft industry is too.
yeah, and that's how you keep things, safe and secret. But sometimes things slip out, and you're like, oh wait, what else happened? And it's like, oh wait, no, I'm not trying to lose my job here, because a lot of times what we do is we sign these 80-year contracts. That's why a lot of these guys, they divulge information on their deathbed, because like it's not 80 years, but I'm way past expiration date, so I don't care what happens at this point. I'm just gonna tell the truth. So these guys on their deathbeds, man, you gotta listen to them because they know their contract doesn't apply at that point because they're already on their way out. So, um, like when even with my wife, I've shared some things and she splurged on like, "Hey, you're not supposed to say that." Well, I said that, because I drank a little too much or something. Like calm down, babe. Like don't share that. You're not supposed to share that. And it just happens. That's how a lot of this information leaks because we're human. You know, we sometimes talk. Things let things loose, and that's why, like I said, I'm gonna for the most part protect my identity.
And that's
I
perfectly
feel,
fine.
and I feel I can share that with you. I just don't want to share that with
People
the
do it all the
platform.
time. They'll tell me, "Look, I run a business and I got this, and in my home, I even talked to a couple different principals of schools."
Oh wow,
Gave their
that's amazing.
stories. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. I
Well,
mean,
you understand, like, because
Mhm.
you start talking about this stuff, it gets in the media, and then
There's a
people
bunch of
want
people
to.
who don't want to tell their stories themselves.
Yeah,
We ran into that when I helped these people with the new show that they got coming out on the History Channel. I gave them 20, 30, 40, whatever it was, 50 people. I think probably used about 20 of them, but I told them, I said, however many people you need for whatever you need, let me know and I'll send you somebody. I promise you, I can give you whoever you want to fill whatever void. But
yeah.
some of these people can tell me the story, but that doesn't mean that, and then I can retell it. It sounds really good, but it doesn't mean that it's going to translate to them telling. I told them, I said, they may not be able to tell you is good.
Yeah, and a lot of it, like I said, for a few years I've been back and forth, and then my wife, like, I want to say about a month ago, was like, "Yeah, you should tell your story." I'm like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "You know what? It needs to get out there because if we don't tell the stories, man, I mean, that's one less piece of, like I said, that's like a piece of the puzzle that we need, and that's one less piece of the puzzle that's not there. And I don't have all the pieces, and you don't, and some of these other people don't. But if we bring them together somewhere, and this is probably why you're being attacked. This is why the confession will be attacked because we're willing to bring the pieces to the table, and they don't want us to do that because once we do and we learn the truth, it's game over.
Yeah. And I was just talking to Anthony about this. The world is becoming dumber. Yes, it really. I didn't know if it was becoming more stupid, or if we as a people, like maybe we're elevating ourselves up higher. Like us here at PRT. Like it just, I don't know, because here you don't. There's not a lot of stupid people. I mean,
Well,
you
you're,
can
you're
just,
you're not supposed to know it, right? The
yeah.
secret knowledge is supposed to be among the elite, the
Mhm.
ones that want to pay the price to the demons and the fallen, right? And if you're not paying that price,
What about
then
knowledge, though? Jesus says that we die for lack of knowledge, and we're here
Yep.
learning together,
of,
all
of
of us.
course, of
And the
course.
truth will set you free.
Guys, I got to run, man. It was good having you on, Joel. You email me, you get in touch with me. It's down at the bottom there. Josh Turner, PRTpodcast.com. Josh Turner, PRTpodcast.com. I really got to go, man. I'm late.
Yep.
I'm late.
What the?
Joel, great talking to you, man. I'm going to let you run.
I'll email you right now. Thank you.
Okay. Shalom.
Shalom.
So, Richard, here's the thing. I was kind of joking around about that, but you do
Oh
that.
no, I know.
You do hurt my feelings a lot. It's true.
Oh, I'm sorry, bud.
Not really. I don't give a shit what you think. Anyways,
I
guys,
just
good
think
night.
so.
Thank you for I'm messing with you.
I know.
No, man, you're like a brother to me. We're good friends.
Likewise.
So here's the thing, folks. Everybody that is listening, just remember tomorrow night. And Anthony is not in the room, so I don't know exactly what we're throwing out there tomorrow night. But we have a Patreon show tomorrow night. And then we'll be back on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about some weird stuff. I do have some stuff to finish up, though, on a couple different past live streams. And we're going to see if I'm going to do that, if there's enough meat there to go back and do it, or if I'm going to need to go to another, the next stories. And so if I do finish up from like I think it's 2 live streams ago, there's a little bit of stuff to talk about. But if you guys let me know what you want to hear about, because I have like a thing I just popped out. I don't know where I put it. I don't know where it's at. It was up here. Oh boy, I gotta get. This is a mess because we're moving out of here, so everything's just a mess. Anyways, I said something, I laid it down. I think that's over there. I don't feel like getting it. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I had a paper that I had with some different stuff on there, and I had just said, I looked through and I was like, this is a bunch of different stuff we can talk about. So between now and then, if you want to, just go to the Facebook page. There's the Paranormal Roundtable Facebook page, not the group. The group's people to post things, or stories, and links to other people's stuff. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But let us know what you think and what you want to hear, what you want to listen to, and that would be a good way for you to be able to get your voice heard. Just go to the page. Go to the Paranormal Roundtable page. Let me bring it up and show you what it looks like.
Can I answer Claire really quick here? The question she had.
Sure, go ahead.
Claire, I just found out today that they're opening up a huge NextRad station near me that's going to be several miles long, about 20 minutes that way. So it's going to be a lot sooner than later. So
Okay, so here's what it looks like right here. That is what the page looks like. And if you go to it, it looks like that. Right? So just go over there and make a post. Or we'll make a post, okay? I'll have Nelly make a post, or somebody, whoever's manning it, make a post and say, what would you like to hear for Wednesday? And you guys go and just go down and make your whatever. And but between now and Wednesday, I'll pick out a subject that a lot of people want to hear about. And because we definitely got the information, we just got to get the stories together. So I had 3 different stories from 3 different subjects, and I can't even tell you what they were. One was a little different. It was Inner Earth. I think one of them was Inner Earth, or it was basically like taken to Inner Earth, not only in the physical sense, but the spiritual sense too. And it was just different stuff. But you guys tell me what you want to do, what you want to hear. And then tomorrow's the Patreon show. If you are a Patreon member, sound off in the comments and let me know just real quick. Let me see if I can get 5 to 10 people say, hey, I'm a Patreon member, and let me know how we're doing with the Patreon, if you are enjoying it. Thank you to those that donated. Got the freaking Patreon member. There it is. Mermaids and succubus. Yeah, that's a good one, but that's not one of the options. But if enough people ask for it, I'll find the stories. I know I got them. I may just have to read them all. Just have to sit there and read them. Somebody says, where do I find the Rosary song? I don't know if that's on Paranormal Roundtable, but I know it's on Paranormal Soundtable. And if Anthony was here, he could answer that. I don't know where he's at. Paranormal Soundtable, I believe, has the Rosary song. I think. But I know it's on Nellie's channel on the, she's not really doing much with it for obvious reasons, but her channel is called The Random Files. Sorry, I'm just kind of blinking out here. What was the question I asked? Patreon. Right. So we got people saying, I'm Patreon, love it, enjoying it. Randy Alexander says, you're doing great. Desert Terror Birds. That's a story. I don't know if I have anything from that, but that'd be interesting just to talk about. I could talk about that.
Desert what?
Desert Terror Birds.
Really?
Here's the thing about that. These terror birds originally weren't from the desert, because that area wasn't desert. That area was a jungle. Before that, it was an inland sea, and then it became that. And that's where that water, it's sunk down. A lot of those birds, what they're talking about, they have the bones of those birds in the deserts of the Saharan desert. And they were all over Patagonia, Argentina, that kind of stuff. You have no idea what I'm talking about. You see, that's what I'm talking about, Dick. You need to educate yourself instead of just waving Gary Wayne's book around.
See, I think that these deserts became deserts during the mud flood, and that all of that sand is left over from the. It's my opinion.
That's it.
Gary Wayne agrees with me.
Yeah, and so does Guy Anderson. But let me tell you something. The mud flood, I've told everybody, including them, that I agree that it is real.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the timeline, dude.
Oh, probably not. I believe all our timelines are askew. I don't even believe it's 2025, bro.
Well, no, we know that because of the calendar. I mean,
Yeah.
There's the Julian and the Gregorian calendars. I mean,
absolutely.
That's a simple one, dude. That's easy, bro. We're not only that, but the beginning of the year was in April.
True.
April 1st.
True.
That's why it's called April Fools now.
Good point.
Yeah. So, I mean, so Amy Krill says, send us please on Paranormal Soundtable. I just checked. Okay, so that's that. All right, guys, I really got to run. It's been 3.5 hours almost. I appreciate your time. We had a great time, right? We didn't have a huge group of people. We had like 300 and something, 80, maybe 60, something, whatever. But it was cool. We have fun because we always have fun, even if we hit 400. I think we hit 400, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We get up to 400, but there's not a huge lot of numbers that come onto this, but they don't know what they're missing. People need to tell your compatriots here because they're missing out because this we divulge a lot of information on here. So yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had on these streams here. This is a really cool. I'm really relaxed on this on Mondays. Mondays just kind of chill and it can go in any direction. I don't care because the people can carry it or whatever. And then on Sunday though, that's when you really I got to get in there and do the storytelling, you know. And again on Wednesday, it's all about I stand on the business there, and that's a little more chill on the podcast too. Just because if you mess up, you can always like fix it.
Yeah.
But, luckily for you though, Anthony just returned. I don't mess up a lot, do I?
No, you do all right, bud. You do all right.
Anthony's always shot.
You do well.
He's sitting there. You know what he does to me, Richard? He sits there like a hawk, like this.
No, I don't do that anymore.
Punk ass. Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
I'll be sitting here doing the podcast episodes, and he's looking to see if I'm messing up.
I kind of do that too, though, but I just have a natural bitch face. So
yeah, you both do. You both have that turd face. When I put the camera on Anthony, he's like this right here, and so I put the camera on, and then he does that. Oh no, now you're gonna change. I got you. I got you. Now you're looking like you do. Squidward. That's Squidward.
My face that does not change.
Yes, it does.
I'm not an expressive person.
You're not. You just sit there like this. Like this. Look, I'll go back to me. Here's Anthony. I put the camera on him, and he's like this. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, okay.
He's smiling and stuff. That's what Richard does too, though.
I'm never smiling.
But Richard forgets that he's on camera. Richard's like,
I never smile.
Richard looks like
too cool to smile.
Somebody's confronting somebody, right? And they're robbing them. Look, man, I'm gonna take your wallet, your watch, and your wife. And Richard's behind them going with the gun, like, just tell me when, boss.
Yeah.
It's terrible because I do it when I'm out in public and
like
people will look at me like, what are you glaring at, bro? And it's like, no. Sorry, man. I just naturally look like
Don't you like that? They come up to you and say, what are you glaring at?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, I would beat the shit out of them motherfuckers. I'd be like, bitch. That's my dream, bro. But like up in Canada, but not here where there's guns. Down here, they're like, what are you looking at? And they're like, what? They pull their shirt up. You're like, you bitch ass. That gun just saved you from your head getting
That's what the man bag's for, bro.
Yeah. Because if I was up in Canada, dude, where there's no guns, and these dudes said, oh, what are you looking at? I'd be like, I'm looking at you and your mama. That's what I'm looking at.
What do they pull out up there? Kitchen knife?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to pull out a knife?
Spatula.
That's when you pull your knife out. Yeah. What this is a knife, right? The whole Dundee thing.
One of those
Strong
cartoon
words.
hammers. Tom and Jerry hammer.
I used to back in the day when people would do that, because back in the 90s, there was this like weird thing where people thought that they could do that. They would just look at you and be like, what you looking at? And dude, I knocked out so many fools with that shit. I'd be like, I'm looking at you. I'm lucky that I didn't kill these people, man, and they're lucky because they probably got brain damage. There's this dude, Anthony knows him, dude, in my hometown. And he's literally retarded now. I'm not even joking. And everybody's like, you did that to him. I'm like, no, he did to himself. He did to himself. He confronted me once. I was like, with family, babysitting my little cousin. I was like, oh, my little cousins and shit. I'm like, oh, dude, all right, whatever, bro. I don't know what your beef is with me because somebody put him up to it. Second time he did that right there by the donuts, I'm like, what's up, bro? Bam, pop. And then he took forever to wake up. Now I was scared. I was like, damn, I'm probably going to go to jail. Didn't happen, because he pushed me. He showed me my truck. And I turned around and I just, I don't know what his deal was, man, but I have fist of stone, dude. And I laid him. It was like a crack and then just splat. And now when I saw him like at a gas station a couple of years ago, he was like, I got DT, but he's like that now. He's like a cartoon caricature of and somebody was on Facebook. They're like, oh, Wolf did that to him. I don't think I did that to him. I think drugs did. They say he started doing drugs after that. I was like, no, he didn't. He was probably on drugs and he pushed me. I defend myself, man. Don't ask me what I'm looking at. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm looking at ugly all day. That's what I'm looking at. But you got to be careful here in Texas because they're like, Yosemite Sam over here.
Yeah, fair enough.
You can't do nothing now. It's like, you guys, what are you looking at? I'm like, what are you looking at? You be ready to look. I'll put mine down. You put yours down. Let's fight. They're like, nah, you're too big. They're not going to fight me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you're 6'4", 360 pounds. I'm not fighting you, dude. And you're muscular. You look like you would break me in half. I will break you. I will literally break your sternum into your heart. How about that? Yeah. Like Gary Busey said, I'm going to find your mama. I'm going to start a small fire in her pants.
Amazing. Amazing.
Horrible heathen that he is. He's from Texas too. Gary Busey. He's from Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's crazy. I saw him at a conference one time. He was just at a comic book conference here in Austin. He was crazy. He's crazy. He's the loudest guy in the room. He was laughing.
You remember that show I'm with Busey?
Yeah.
That was great. That was
You
so
like
good.
that show?
And the Bigfoot guy and the UFO guy getting a fight out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah. I got to run, man. It was good talking to everybody. Good seeing everybody. I don't commit acts of violence anymore, folks. I do not condone it because, you know, there's guns and shit. So you got to be careful. But back in the day, people would say, what you looking at? I'd pop their eyes out of their head because I was that kind of person. Because I mess with people. You mess with me. When you're stupid enough to come mess with me, it's obvious that you don't want to be in this world anymore. So don't do that. Don't play that game. I don't play it no more. I'm too old for that shit. But I just look back on the days when people would get what was coming to them. And now they got the internet. They can go run and hide behind it like a bunch of sissies. And they can talk all this trash. Would never say it to my face. Never. You would not say it to my face. I promise
It's a hell of a
you.
situation.
Because if I was in front of you, yeah, he would be the guy from Salem's Lot. Face the monster.
Yeah. Face the beast.
Face the beast. Go ahead. You could be my right wing guy there, right hand guy. Tell him, go ahead, do what you started a conversation. Finish it. Finish it.
Don't be shy.
This man is afraid of you. Look at how terrified he is of you. You're like, go ahead, finish it.
I'll give him the
Needs to be
eyeballs.
taught a lesson.
You give him the fist.
You gotta teach me a lesson, man.
And you're
all right?
just the man for the job.
You're the pugilist. You do it. Oh, you're strong, man. You'll hang it. You'll do it. You're that guy Crawford that beat Canelo. You can do anything.
Yeah.
Literally, you can fly, Bobby. You can fly. That's what you need. Yeah. So you can just pump them up, Richard. Tell them.
That's
Pump 'em
it.
up. Face the beast. Do what you got to do.
Be like the yappy little dog in the background, right?
I can say that's about Anthony, but Anthony's like 6 feet. He's taller than me. I'm 6'3.5". He's 6'4". So he's like 6'4", and he's pretty muscular. So
More of a Gumby 6'4".
he's not a little dude at all. But you know,
I used to be 6'1".
But Anthony
Used
don't
to.
talk a lot of trash though. Anthony's a very level-headed, calm dude. He don't mess around. He don't mess with people. I'm the one that confronts people and just tells them to do stuff, and then they don't want to do it. Sometimes I lose patience. You know, because these people they obviously want problems.
Yeah. Maybe you should just comply.
Yeah. Take your cooler, it goes for a ride. Whee! There it goes. All your beer is right there. 2 24-packs. Yeah.
Amazing.
But all right, man. We'll see you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who donated. Somebody just got is that gifts?
Yeah, the gifted memberships.
Okay, Odysseus, he just gifted 10 memberships, dude. So that's 10
boy.
people that Thursday will be able to watch the show that were being cheap before. Okay.
Nice.
All right, guys. I'm out of here. I love you. Good night.
God bless.